Chapter 241. However, Calligraphy Pavilion. More good. What made Qin Youjiao even more uneasy was that she seemed to be the only one in the entire industry who knew that Yu Manran was actually the eldest young lady of the Yu family. At that time, if Yu Manran's identity was exposed, it would probably affect her quite a bit. Sister, do you know Yu Manran? Qin Youjiao asked calmly. Yes. I don't know where she found a composer this year. She became popular with just one song and her popularity is higher than the A-list now. Even they had their sights set on the composer. However, they could not get any information at all. It was said that it was someone Yu Manran knew. Sister, can you find that composer? Qin Youjiao said with a smile. She can bid as much as she wants. I want her to write a song for me. In the evening, when Stephen found out about this, he was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. I'm a pheasant expert? Did you hear that? Did you hear what old Zhong said? F***CK. I'm going to sue those keyboard warriors. Stephen's face flushed red. He had never suffered such grievances in his life. Inspector, calm down. Our institute hasn't earned 1 billion yuan. Where would we get so much money to sue? The assistant immediately said gently. Stephen was speechless. If this brat hadn't been with him for so many years, he really wanted to fire him. Miss Pei said that Dr. Fong went to post an explanation. Don't be anxious. When they know who did the surgery, they won't dare to be so impudent. That's true. At this thought, Stephen's mood improved. He laughed coldly. A bunch of ignorant brats. I want to see if they still dare to talk nonsense when they know who they are scolding. Seeing Stephen's noble and cold expression, the assistant's eyelids twitched. Yes, you're right. What happened this time was beyond his expectations. Fong Gushing, who had just gotten off work and was about to have a candlelit dinner with his wife, was shocked. Then his face darkened. Who was the one who complained that his life was too comfortable? Did they have to drag him out and be mocked by the entire internet? However, not long after. The internet was still in a heated discussion. Following this, Fong Gushing's clarification video became the focus of everyone's attention as soon as it was released. It was crazily viewed and forwarded. Fong Gushing, who was shooting the video, was wearing ordinary clothes. He didn't look too good, but he said a few words politely. He had confirmed that the attending doctor hired by Bei Yunj was indeed more experienced than he was. He hoped that everyone could relax and stop attacking others. However, as the number of views of this video increased, there were actually people who started the momentum. Dr. Fong doesn't look too well. A certain heiress is 666. How could she threaten an innocent doctor? Just look at it. He's very reluctant to shoot a video. Is there anyone else who will wash Bei Yunja's clothes? Dr. Fong, blink when you're being threatened. We support you. Stephen sat in front of the computer and translated the comments one by one. His expression gradually turned ugly. These people really wanted to satisfy their own fantasies. Everything was said according to what they thought. There's no need to be angry, Stephen. They hate me, not you. Bei Yunj smiled lazily. That won't do. What right do they have to criticize you? Stephen was so angry that his face darkened. He might as well. He found the official social media account of Country A that the R Nation Medical Institute had registered a few years ago. Guru Tong. Chapter 242. Stephen sneered. I'd like to see what else they can make up. After that, Stephen hung up the phone after exchanging a few more words with Bei Yunj. Calligraphy Pavilion more good. She couldn't wait for those stupid humans to open their eyes wide and take a good look at who the pheasant expert they were talking about was. Bei Yunja's eyelids twitched when she was hung up on. She sent a message to her assistant to remind Stephen to board the plane. Not long after. She thought for a moment, opened the social media app, and scrolled through the headlines. She clicked on it and saw that the first post was a video about Dr. Fong. However, just as everyone was scolding Dr. Fong, someone suddenly noticed that a big shot had liked the video. They clicked on the profile picture and found that it was a verified official account. Country R's Medical Research Institute. Everyone. What was going on? Why would Country R's Medical Research Institute like Dr. Fong when they had nothing to do with him? Then, just as they were feeling uneasy, they saw that the official account that had not been updated for a few years suddenly reposted Dr. Fong's clarification post. What was going on? Could it be that the expert Bei Yunj hired was from Country R's Medical Research Institute? Many people couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. However, they were also puzzled. How did Bei Yunj know someone from Country R's Medical Research Institute? Could it be that it was also because of Director Lin? Director Lin's social circle was too wide, wasn't it? Because Country R's Medical Research Institute had publicly reposted the video, Qin Yojiao's team, who was manipulating public opinion, didn't know what to do for a moment. They could only wait and see. At this time, the netizens were also confused. I've checked. Director Stephen of Country R's Medical Research Institute is an expert in this field. He's a world-famous expert. Oh my god, Bei Yunj is too amazing, isn't she? What does this have to do with Bei Yunj? Even if it is, it's Director Lin's credit. Don't joke around. Do you believe it? Everyone in the circle knows that Stephen's surgery volume is limited in a year. Even if Bei Yunj is booked, it won't be this year. Stephen even performed surgery for her family. The Qin family is nothing in the world. Do you understand? The person above is harsh, but it's the truth. Stephen's number of surgeries is limited. This year's patients were confirmed in March. Bei Yunj skimmed through these comments and returned to the Computing Institute. Master Pei, quick. Come and take a look at my project. See if there's anything that can be improved. The moment he saw Bei Yunj, Si Chengyan enthusiastically pulled Bei Yunj to his research lab. Brat, stop right there. Zhong Shanglin suddenly appeared and immediately separated the two of them. Take care of your own projects. Don't take shortcuts. With that said, Zhong Shanglin looked at Bei Yunj gently. Yunj, I heard that the contract you signed with Marcus is for 3 months? When Si Chengyan heard this topic, he knew what the old master was up to again. Haha. He had not managed to poach her after so long. He even complained that he was hindering him from poaching her. After Si Chengyan left, Bei Yunj smirked. I was in urgent need of money back then, so I signed for 3 months. What about now? Zhong Shanglin asked urgently. Elder Zhong, you can see that Marcus is very good to me, said Lin Feng. Bei Yunj's eyes curved. So, at least for now, I can't think about this. Same as the Almighty. Chapter 243. Bei Yunj's meaning was clear. She was indebted to Marcus for recognizing her worth. Even if she had not promised Marcus that she would stay in their institute in the future, at least she could not decide to come to the Computing Institute at this time. Hearing this, Zhong Xinglin's heart ached even more. What kind of luck did Marcus have? He really met someone like Bei Yunj, who was sentimental about old ties. Yunj, I understand what you mean. But if you choose the Domestic Computing Institute, I sincerely hope that you can choose our Computing Institute first. Zhong Shanglin smiled. Although I might not be able to offer the generous conditions that Marcus offered, it's a private computing institute. If you're willing, I hope you can be my successor. With that said, Bei Yunj's eyelashes fluttered and she looked up at him again. Usually, even if it was a private research institute, it seemed that more people would want their children to inherit it. Just like in her previous life, as a well-known physicist in the industry, Mrs. Pei had also nurtured Bei Yunj in that area, hoping that Bei Yunj would inherit her physics institute. In the end, Bei Yunj secretly opened a computing institute herself. Because of this, Mrs. Pei was so angry that she did not speak to Bei Yunj for a month. Thank you, Elder Zhong. Bei Yunj said with a smile. You don't have to be too stressed. My grandson is indeed studying computing, but his aptitude is average and he can't control the Computing Institute. What I hope more is that the Computing Institute can be passed down and walk towards glory. Zhong Shanglin looked at the long term and focused more on the computing industry in Country A. As for his grandson, he had also left behind a lot of family assets, enough for them to live in peace for the rest of their lives. Saturday. Bei Yunj went to the airport and received her quietly. About 10:30 p.m. A tall middle-aged man with blonde hair and blue eyes came out. Bei Yunj recognized Stephen at a glance from the photos online. At the same time, although Stephen had just gotten off the plane, he was still refreshed. He said excitedly and happily, Tisk, let's walk faster. Maybe Yunj is waiting. The assistant was speechless. She's not your granddaughter. Why are you so happy to see her? Suddenly, Stephen and Selena saw a beautiful young girl walking towards them. Bei Yunj took off her mask, revealing her delicate and beautiful face. She smiled and said, "Stephen, we finally meet." Stephen froze when he heard this familiar voice. This was Yunj. Stephen could not come back to his senses for a long time. He had heard Marcus brag that their Yunj was especially beautiful and did not believe it for a moment. But now, this standard Oriental beauty's face was really hard to find fault with. Especially the bright and beautiful expression between her eyebrows. It was unforgettable. "Yunj, I really didn't expect you to look like this." After a while, Stephen couldn't help but laugh. "Let's go. I'll be a good host and take the two of you to dinner." Bei Yunj chuckled. "Sure. This Yun city is really not bad." Stephen laughed loudly. However, in the corner, a sneaky young man secretly took a picture of Bei Yunj and Stephen walking together. However, what he did not expect was that Bei Yunj did not bring her to the hospital. Instead, they went to a scenic spot to play. He thought for a moment and called Qin Yojiao's manager to tell her about this. "You don't have to let me see it. Just post it online. Just say that Bei Yunj hired a quack overseas and is eating, drinking, and having fun with others. She doesn't take old Master Qin's illness to heart." Chapter 244. This. What if he's not a quack? The young man could not help but hesitate. Then we have to post it even more. The manager chuckled. If that person cures old Master Qin, what's the point of posting it? On the other hand, if we do this, more people will think that Bei Yunj is gambling. I got it. The young man nodded and stopped following Bei Yunj and the rest. "Inspector Miss Pei, someone followed us and took photos secretly just now." With that said, Stephen, who was eating soup dumplings, almost choked. "Why didn't you say so earlier?" At this moment, Bei Yunj said slowly, "I saw it. It's all right. I'll delete it later." When she said this, those who didn't know would almost think that Bei Yunj was planning to delete her post. Only Stephen vaguely remembered how Bei Yunj made the headlines back then. "There's no need for that." Stephen patted his chest, his expression confident. "Don't worry, leave this to me." Then, Stephen pulled Bei Yunj and his assistant along and took a photo as a souvenir. Soon, he posted it on his social media app and Marcus's phone. Soon, Marcus sent messages crazily. "You went for a meal with Yunj? Are you there? Let me show you Yunj's Computing Institute identity card." Smile. How childish. Do you think I can be angry? Boring. Haha, I've blocked you. Goodbye, brother. After reading this long string of messages, the corners of Stephen's lips twitched. Wasn't this childish enough? He wasn't angry? In the afternoon. In the ward. "Dad, I've said it before. This isn't a child who grew up in our family after all. We don't know her background. You're still..." Before Mrs. Qin could finish speaking, she was interrupted by old Master Qin. "If you continue to spout nonsense, I'll get Qin Ting to send you back to your parents' home." These words made Mrs. Qin open her mouth with an ugly expression, but she didn't know what to say. "Are you still worthy of being a mother? You're so righteous even when you talk bad about your daughter. Shameless." Once old Master Qin was angered, he felt dizzy. The nurse beside him quickly comforted old Master Qin, telling him not to get angry. Mrs. Qin pursed her lips and said, "But the news on the internet was also taken by someone else. It can't be that someone deliberately tried to harm her." "Who took it? I'll get my lawyer to sue him right now." Upon hearing old Master Qin's words, Mother Qin's face turned green and red. She was speechless. She couldn't hope for Grandpa Shang to come to his senses. "Hey, this person looks familiar," the nurse suddenly said. Mrs. Qin's eyes lit up. "You know him? Who is it?" Old Master Qin glanced at Mrs. Qin. Disgust flashed across his eyes, and he closed his eyes impatiently. "Let me think." The nurse racked her brains and felt that this person looked very familiar. A few minutes later, Mrs. Qin became a little anxious. She suddenly exclaimed, "I remember now. This is Stephen." "What Stephen?" Mrs. Qin suddenly had a bad premonition. "The director of Country R's Medical Institute, Stephen." The nurse looked at old Master Qin enviously. "Mr. Stephen rarely takes on surgeries. This year, His surgeries are full. Miss Pei must have put in a lot of effort for you. She's so good to you. She's a filial girl. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Chen's face turned pale and her eyes lost focus. How could this be? How could Bei Yunj invite such a person? Chapter 245. Could it be Director Lin? But how could Director Lin have such a wide network? Look, this is someone who can even step on her own daughter. Old Master Chen laughed coldly. Mrs. Chen wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she could only bite her lip with a red face and remain silent. At this moment, a group of netizens who did not know the situation were about to tear into each other. A certain young lady is really interesting to go out and play with an old man at this time. I really feel bad for Director Lin. Even if you blow up your account this time, I still want to scold you. You just can't compare to Qin Youjiao. Don't you know that? Ah. Why are you scolding Bei Yunj? A group of people are confused and think that they are righteous. Don't you know how to write the word cyberbullying? This kind of B*TCH should have such extravagance. If you have the ability, blow up my account. The matter was full of twists and turns, and it was getting more and more confusing. However, under the guidance of Qin Youjiao's marketing team, it still went in the direction they wanted. However, it wasn't long before another shocking scene appeared. A few minutes later, Qin Yu, who had been filming overnight for 2 days, immediately reposted that post when he saw it. Qin Yu? Smile. As for Qin Lang, who was training and had his phone confiscated, there was no movement. However, to everyone's surprise, Qin Lang's studio reposted Qin Yu's comment immediately after. Crushed Qin Lang's studio? Smile. In less than a minute, the comments exploded. Ha ha ha, they're here. They're here. They're here with the anger of a sister complex. It's about to start. Is Brother Lang's studio trying to make me laugh to death? Xiao sure. I'll protect Brother Lang's sister. Reporting, second sister-in-law's fans have gathered. Reporting, we'll gather again after third sister-in-law's fans finish eating. Sob sob sob, dog head. I'm speechless. So what if you have a best actor brother and an esports player brother? Are you relying on your fans to clear your name? I'm scared. You have a lot of fans and you're awesome, okay? Entertainers are ruining the country. Entertainers are ruining the country. Qin Yu and Qin Lang had many fans, but more importantly, this matter made people have a bad impression of Bei Yunj. As a result, some of Qin Yu and Qin Lang's fans were still persuading them to delete this post. After all, it was really too much. But who knew? At this moment, a certain group that was usually rarely active suddenly reposted Qin Yu's post as if they had agreed. Research Institute, Zhongsheng Lin? Smile. Dean of Biology of Yuncheng University? Smile. The former principal of Yuncheng University? Smile. Professor Yu Guang? Smile. Yuncheng University Medical Dean? Smile. Our nation's Medical Research Institute? Smile. This scene made one's scalp tingle. Everyone. Did he break through the dimension? What was going on? Was half of the scientific research community mobilized? Soon, everyone saw that Country R's Medical Research Institute had reposted someone's post. Our nation's Medical Research Institute. Heart. Our nation's Medical Research Institute. Stephen. My friend me picture. At this moment, everyone was shocked. So the old man who was rumored to be having fun with Bei Yunj was Stephen, the director of the Our Nation's Medical Institute. F***CK. What a deity. DBQ Mr. Stephen, I actually didn't recognize you. Ah. Is Bei Yunj a big boss harvester? Chapter 246. Lin Lonjun is her grandmother, and Stephen is her friend. The moment something happened to her, half of the scientific research field and 2 cis-obsessed brothers protected her. I'm so jealous. I'm jealous. Goodbye. I'm starting to understand why Dr. Fong's expression isn't too good. This isn't an expert, but an ancestor. The one who offended him is the ancestor. The biological daughter of the big shots? The little darling of the brothers? Please, Master Pei, write an autobiography of the group's love. The moment Qin Yojiao debuted, Bei Yunj was scolded and became a trending topic. Isn't that so? You're trying your best to push Bei Yunj away, but she's really loved by the group. On the internet, the people who had followed the trend to slander Bei Yunj seemed to have disappeared without a trace. On the contrary, only the haters who had started to slander Qin Yojiao were left. In the office, Qin Yojiao's expression was terrible and she wanted to smash her phone. She never thought that this matter would take such an unrealistic turn that was even more unrealistic than a dream. Jiao, this is quite unexpected. But don't worry, the company's public relations are already handling it. Don't worry. The manager was also anxious, but Qin Yojiao had just signed with their company, so it was not good for her to act like she was flustered. Thank you, sister. Qin Yojiao's expression improved slightly. At least, she still had a company behind her now, so she would not be too outnumbered. At the Hua Corporation. Sang-Soo, apart from telling you about the parent-teacher conference last time, what else did Yun say? Hua Shidu thought of how the little girl was throwing a tantrum and asked casually. I think so. With that said, Sang-Soo saw that his Master Du seemed to be thinking about something. Master Du, did you have a fight with Miss Pei? Hua Shidu glanced at him and did not say anything. This situation made it difficult for Sang-Soo to understand. However, Sang-Soo suddenly remembered what had happened in the past 2 days. Master Du, have you seen the recent headlines? What's wrong? Hua Shidu looked up and asked. It's that Miss Pei was maliciously slandered. However, the 2 young masters of the Qin family and some seniors in the scientific research field are very protective of Miss Pei. Currently, this matter has been resolved. Sang-Soo couldn't help but exclaim when he thought of the melon he had eaten. Especially the phrase, Big Boss Harvester. It was simply very popular. Aside from the big shots they knew, if anyone else found out that this little princess was living in the home of the president of the Hua Corporation, they would probably have a mental breakdown. Malicious? Hua Shidu's pale-colored eyes gradually turned cold and deep. There was an unfathomable danger in them. It's the tricks of the entertainment industry. The other Miss Qin of the Qin family has signed with an entertainment company. I'm guessing that the entertainment company is personally involved. After Sang-Soo finished speaking, he added carefully, Master Du, do you need me to show my face? Next time. This would also prevent those people from thinking that Miss Pei had no one backing her. There's no need. Hua Shidu narrowed his eyes nonchalantly. His deep voice was emotionless. You caused trouble for my child. How can there be a second chance? Hearing this, Sang-Soo immediately understood. Master Du didn't intend to let that company continue to operate. Sang-Soo, okay. When he returned, Hua Shidu saw the young lady quickly greeting him and going upstairs. He didn't even look up when he was eating. The next day, Bei Yunj had just gone downstairs when she saw Yu Hanran and Hua Shidu sitting together. Before she could leave, she heard the man say, Yun. Chapter 247. At this moment, Yu Hanran also noticed Bei Yunj. He had a teasing look in his eyes, wanting to see how this couple interacted every day. From Hua Shidu's casual question, the 2 of them seemed to be quarreling. What's wrong? Bei Yunj turned around and looked at him with curved eyes. Come here. Hearing this, Bei Yunj glanced at him and then glanced at Yu Hanran, who was waiting for a good show. She walked towards Hua Shidu. When Hua Shidu saw this, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He stood up and narrowed his eyes casually. He held her wrist with one hand and took off the rubber band. It's too hot outside. With that said, Hua Shidu stood in front of the girl and reached out. His slender and well-defined fingers gently lifted her curly hair and slowly tied it up for the girl. This scene made the smile on Yu Hanran's face freeze. Wait a minute. Shouldn't they be quarreling? Why did he let him see such a scene? After tying her ponytail, Bei Yunj glanced at Hua Shidu. Actually, she had long lost her temper. I'm going to the hospital. I'll be back later. Bei Yunj touched her hair. Okay. Hua Shidu curled his lips and reached out to rub her jawline. Yu Hanran was speechless. Hey guys, am I invisible? In the morning, Stephen was undergoing surgery. Almost 4 hours later, the door to the operating theater opened. The surgery was very successful. Old Master will be fine after resting well. The other doctor smiled and could not help but say to Bei Yunj, "It's all thanks to Miss Pei that I have the chance to share the stage with Mr. Stephen." "You must be joking." Bei Yunj smiled. However, in the eyes of the Qin couple, this scene caused them to have complicated feelings. They had always felt that Bei Yunj was a loner and had no friends. They did not expect her to be friends with Stephen. They did not know how they got to know each other. It's been hard on you this time." Mr. Qin stepped forward and said gently. Bei Yunj's tone was indifferent. "It's my duty." The smile on Mr. Qin's face froze. Of course, he knew that Bei Yunj was so attentive because of old Master Li. Otherwise, if it were him or Mother Qin, Bei Yunj probably wouldn't even look at them. Mr. Qin's eyes darkened. "You and Jiao Jiao. Yunj, isn't it time to go eat?" Stephen's voice sounded. Bei Yunj turned around and saw that Stephen was still in good spirits. She smiled and said, "Well, I have a friend later. Do you mind?" "What's there to mind?" Stephen said and went to change his clothes. The two of them chatted in a familiar tone, as if they were old friends. However, the age difference was a little too big. "Mr. Qin, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first." Mr. Qin reacted and quickly nodded. "Okay. Be careful, Gua." Next. Even after Bei Yunj left, Mr. Qin's expression was still gloomy. Mrs. Qin stepped forward and said angrily, "Didn't I ask you to tell her to put in a good word for Jiao Jiao?" Hearing this, Mr. Qin felt annoyed for no reason. Gua is the one who suffers every time. Why must she listen to me? With that said, Mrs. Qin was stunned for a moment. She could not imagine that these words would come from his mouth. "Qin Ting, what do you mean? Bei Yunj is your daughter, but Jiao Jiao isn't?" Mrs. Qin suddenly became agitated. "She's my daughter to begin with," Mr. Qin reprimanded angrily. Chapter 248. Mrs. Qin's eyes widened as she stared at Mr. Qin in disbelief. "All right, you don't want Jiao Jiao anymore?" Mr. Qin was furious. "Look at what Jiao Jiao has become." She didn't do it on purpose the first time, but what about the second and third time? Every time something happens to Gu, it's related to her. How can I believe her? With that said, suddenly, the sound of something falling to the ground sounded not far away. Mr. and Mrs. Qin turned around and saw Qin Yojiao looking at Mr. Qin in disbelief and grievance with red eyes. At this moment, Mr. Qin panicked inexplicably. After all, this was the child he had doted on for almost 20 years. "Jiao Jiao." Qin Yojiao turned around and ran away with red eyes. "It's all your fault. How can Bei Yunj compare to Jiao Jiao? Why are all of you slowly standing on her side?" Mrs. Qin's heart ached. Looking at the thermos box that had fallen to the ground, she immediately went forward to pick it up. Jiao Jiao is a filial child. If she hears what you said, she will definitely be very sad. Mrs. Qin panicked as well. For a moment, Mr. Qin felt complicated and guilty. He could only turn his face away and pinch the space between his eyebrows tiredly. How could he not want to have a happy family? However, it just so happened that he had carried the wrong child back then. Now, facing his two daughters, he did not know what to do. At noon, Chu Zhixing stood at the entrance of the hospital and waited, feeling inexplicably nervous. Until Bei Yunj's voice sounded. "Shouting." Chu Zhixing turned around and saw Bei Yunj walking over alone. "Yunj, how's Grandpa Qin?" The surgery was very successful. However, Bei Yunj was a little surprised that Chu Zhixing's first concern was her grandfather. She thought that this fellow should be more concerned about Country R's medical institute. "That's good." Chu Zhixing heaved a sigh of relief and nodded. "All right, who is the person you said you like from Country R's medical institute?" Bei Yunj asked again. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing became even more nervous. "Mr. Stephen." Bei Yunj was speechless. At this moment, Chu Zhixing suddenly remembered what had happened on the internet yesterday. His eyelids twitched and he took a deep breath calmly. "Yunj, you said last time that you would help me talk about the application form. Don't tell me you're planning to look for Mr. Stephen?" "Yes, I only know him." Bei Yunj nodded without hiding anything. Seeing the complicated and regretful expression on Chu Zhixing's face, Bei Yunj couldn't help but smile. She glanced at her watch and then glanced at the elevator. Coincidentally, She saw Marcus change his clothes and come down. Suddenly, Chu Zhixing, who was in the midst of grief, heard an inexplicably familiar voice. Yunj, Yunj, can we go to the supermarket later? Your country's instant noodles are really delicious. Stephen said happily. Chu Zhixing raised his head abruptly and saw the person he used to admire the most. This didn't seem to match the character he had in mind. Wasn't Mr. Stephen dressed in a suit and leather shoes every time he attended a meeting? Wasn't he cold and elegant? Although he wasn't very good at Country R's language, he understood the phrase, by instant noodles. Okay, I'll send you a few boxes when the time comes. Bei Yunj didn't care much and suddenly said, "Oh right, this is my friend, Chu Zhixing." Mr. Stephen. Bei Yunj looked at Chu Zhixing and said concisely. After Chu Zhixing felt his idol's gaze, his body stiffened and he became nervous. Chapter 249. Hello, student Chu Zhixing. Stephen smiled, not putting on any airs on stage at all. However, for some reason, it made people want to get closer to him. Hello. Stephen was actually not a difficult person to get along with. However, Chu Zhixing's foreign language skills were not very good, so it was a little difficult for the two of them to communicate. However, after dinner, Stephen realized that the boy Bei Yunj brought was very talented in medicine. This made Stephen suddenly feel that Chu Zhixing was an unexpected surprise for him to come to Yuncheng. You signed up for our summer camp? Stephen could not help but laugh. Why don't you consider studying in Country R? When the time comes, you can come into contact with our research institute earlier. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing almost dropped his chopsticks. Really, can I really do that? One had to know that the interns recruited by Country R's medical institute were all postgraduate students. Last time, the medicine Yunj asked me to make should be for you, right? Stephen chuckled. Since you're Yunj's friend, there aren't so many rules. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing was stunned for a moment before he realized that his medicine was made by Stephen. Instantly, Chu Zhixing looked at the girl beside him, who was eating with her head buried in her food. His heart seemed to have been brushed by water. On this day, Qin Yu, who had just applied for leave from the director and was about to go to Bei Yunj's parent-teacher conference, suddenly received a call. "You, have you been home recently?" The man's low and calm voice was very pleasant to the ears. However, Qin Yu was inexplicably vigilant. He laughed. "I'll be back in a few days." "Brother, what happened?" "Nothing. I prepared some gifts for everyone." The handsome man in the suite hid the coldness in the depths of his dark eyes. It was only when he thought of something that a hint of gentleness appeared. "By the way, how's Guer?" Hearing Qin Luyan ask about Bei Yunj the moment he came up, Qin Yu was alarmed. In the past, when eldest brother went abroad, he had never cared about Guer. Even Qin Yojiao was the same. "She's pretty good." Qin Yu thought for a moment and repeated what had happened at home. When Qin Luyan heard that Qin Yojiao had been sent to stay with Mr. and Mrs. Qin by Qin Lang, his emotions did not fluctuate much. However, when he heard Qin Yu say that Bei Yunj had also gone out to stay, his eyes immediately darkened. She went out to stay? Where did a little girl like her go to live? Hearing his brother's voice darken, Qin Yu didn't dare to tell him that Guer was staying at his friend's house. "Don't worry, it's someone I know. Some time ago, Old Master also saw him. There's no problem." Qin Yu leaned against the chair and chuckled. When Qin Luyan heard that, he remained silent for a while before saying unhurriedly, "Then it's not appropriate for our Qin family's young lady to live outside. I'll deal with this matter when I get back. Just focus on filming." After that, Qin Luyan hung up the phone. However, Qin Yu inexplicably felt that something was wrong. Big brother, this ice block, when would he start to care for Guer more? Didn't he not even ask about his parents? Qin Yu did not know what Qin Luyan meant by calling either. However, he knew that there would indeed be trouble with Qin Luyan's return. Qin Yojiao knew that he and Qin Lang would ignore her and would definitely think of ways to make eldest brother stand on her side. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. Chapter 250. Then wouldn't Qin Yojiao have found a backer? Qin Yu pursed his lips, feeling that this matter might become troublesome. At the same time, Mrs. Qin also held Qin Yojiao's hand happily. "Jiao Jiao, your older brother is coming back. You've suffered during this period of time. When eldest brother comes back, He will definitely help you. Eldest brother is coming back? Qin Yojiao's eyes lit up and she looked up at Mrs. Qin. She had finally waited for eldest brother to return. One had to know that the true person in charge of the Qin family was still eldest brother. Second brother and third brother had no interest in business. For so many years, eldest brother had been the one managing the Qin group alone. Yes, if you have any grievances, tell eldest brother. Mrs. Qin could not help but laugh. Your eldest brother looks cold to everyone. But Jiao Jiao, you know very well that eldest brother will grant your every request. A strange glint flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes and she tugged at Mrs. Qin and said coquettishly, "So, I like eldest brother the most." After what she did to Bei Yunj this time, Mr. Qin had already started to suspect her. Fortunately, when Mr. Qin saw her run out crying, he had already dispelled his suspicions and even felt guilty. In the evening, the moment Bei Yunj returned, she saw the man sitting on the sofa. "Brother." Bei Yunj called out and was about to go upstairs to take a shower. "Who knew?" The man put out the cigarette casually and suddenly looked up, saying slowly, "Yun Yun, older brother has something to discuss with you." However, Bei Yunj looked at the handsome and dignified man in front of her, and remembered how this man had looked when he was bursting with desire last time. "What's wrong?" Bei Yunj still walked towards him, deliberately not looking into his eyes. "Why were you angry last time?" Hua Shidu's gaze landed on Bei Yunj unwaveringly. His tone was casual as he dragged out his words. "Did older brother bully you?" These words were clearly very normal. However, when he said this, it inexplicably became ambiguous and made her face turn red. Bei Yunj thought of what this man had said to her in the closet and smiled. "Yes, older brother, you're very good at bullying people." At this moment, Hua Shidu didn't think about anything else. After all, he had drunk too much in the past and did not have the habit of touching girls. "Then let me apologize to you. Yun Yun, don't take it to heart, okay?" Hua Shidu's thin red lips curled up and he bent down to look at her at eye level. His tone was natural and intimate as he coaxed her. This man had always been very good to her and even took special care of her feelings. But for some reason, Bei Yunj was not very happy when she saw that this man could not remember anything at all. "Were you drunk last time? What happened?" Bei Yunj asked. That night, when she was drying Hua Shidu's hair, she felt that his body was cold. Those who didn't know better would think that he had taken a cold shower. The corners of Hua Shidu's lips curled up slightly. His posture was lazy and frivolous. He reached out carelessly and gently rubbed her cheek. "Yes, big brother accidentally drank a little." "Are you in a bad mood?" Bei Yunj glanced at him and an indescribable feeling rose in her heart. In her heart, this man was what others called a flower on top of a mountain. He would get whatever he wanted. How could he not be happy? "That's not the reason, but I'm indeed not too happy." Hua Shidu's low and magnetic laughter flowed out as his throat moved. The next moment, he scratched the girl's chin again. But next time, older brother will come back earlier. Chapter 251. The man's pale-colored and abstinent eyes turned gentle. His seductive low voice could easily tickle one's eardrums. "Brother will be happy when he looks at Yun Yun." Wasn't this man apologizing just now? Hua Shidu's eyes darkened when he saw the little girl's bright black eyes staring at him with an inexplicable emotion. Then, he let out a long laugh. His deep and magnetic voice seemed to be deliberately seductive. "Yun Yun, don't look at me like that. Brother can't handle it." Bei Yunj. The next time this man drank, she would definitely record it. She would let him see clearly who was the one who couldn't handle it. Seeing that Bei Yunj's expression was awkward again, Hua Shidu said, "Then I'll promise Yun Yun one thing." "How about that?" "I don't want to go to school anymore." Bei Yunj said this almost without thinking. Who would have thought? Hua Shidu looked at her for a while and only laughed. His posture was seductive and ostentatious. "Sure. Then Yun Yun will come over early and manage the company for brother." Bei Yunj? Question mark. Was this what a qualified domineering CEO would say? Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes twitched. "What about you?" "Brother, just serve our Yun Yun." The man casually played with the silver lighter on his phone. His low and magnetic laughter was light and lazy. His gaze was straight and lustful. It made one's heart beat wildly. Bei Yunj. He was no longer treating her as a younger sister. It was more like he was raising her as a daughter. Be obedient. Come down and do your homework later. Brother will teach you, he said. Bei Yunj was about to scold him in her heart when she suddenly felt the man's half-smiling gaze. Brother, weren't you apologizing to me just now? Bei Yunj asked. Why did it become him supervising her homework in the end? Yes, I forgot to ask Yunyan. How did I bully you? Hua Shidu remembered that when he drank too much in the past, he would at most go to bed early. For a moment, Bei Yunj was a little silent. When Hua Shidu saw this, he suddenly sensed the little girl's abnormality. Hua Shidu's throat bobbed. Yun. Brother took away my pen the moment he saw me. Bei Yunj glanced at him. Because of this? The man licked his thin red lips. His low and hoarse laughter was sexy and pleasing to the ear. He was a little surprised that he would do something like this in his unconscious state. He was also surprised that Bei Yunj had argued with him for so long because of this. Looking at the man's calm expression, Bei Yunj suddenly laughed. Her clear eyes looked harmless. I asked my brother if he could lift up his shirt and show it to me. My brother said that he would only show it to me when we entered the room. Hua Shidu felt that these words did not sound like something he would say, but the young lady had indeed been awkward for 2 days. The man looked at Bei Yunj and thought, Brother, don't tell me you've forgotten everything you've done? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and said with a smile. Suddenly, Hua Shidu laughed again. His dark and unreadable gaze landed on her. Then does Yun still want to see it? Bei Yunj's smile froze. Question mark. It's okay. Although Yun's preferences are special, it's quite embarrassing. Hua Shidu casually threw the silver lighter on the sofa, not caring much. Brother? Bei Yunj suddenly had a bad feeling. Then, before Bei Yunj could speak, the man had already taken off his tie. His lazy and playful voice was frivolous and straightforward. Chapter 252. There's no need to explain. I'll try my best to satisfy Yun. She had never seen the man's figure, but the last time in the wardrobe, it felt firm and hard. However, when the man was wearing a shirt, it did not show and only made people feel that he was refined and dignified. Brother. Bei Yunj grabbed the man's cold hand and looked up. Should I do my homework? I think so. The man's pale-colored eyes could not hide the smile in them. I'll go take a shower first and go downstairs to do my homework. With that said, Bei Yunj immediately went upstairs. Seeing this, the man chuckled. His upturned eyes were charming and his posture was light and lazy. The little girl was so easily angered. How could she let him lift his shirt? Ever since she knew that Qin Luyen was coming back, Qin Youjiao seemed to have become bolder. In the live stream, when Qin Youjiao was chatting with a small celebrity she had just met, she inadvertently led the small celebrity to talk about Bei Yunj. It caused a lot of discussion. However, at the same time, the entire internet was very interested in Bei Yunj, who had never appeared before. After being talked about for so long, she was either scared or too lazy to care. No one thought that Bei Yunj would be the former. However, everyone felt that if Bei Yunj appeared in the public eye, the scene would definitely be exciting and fresh. Before the crowd could calm down, they saw someone coming down personally to tear Qin Youjiao apart. You man ran. Your father Pei is a brick. He will move wherever he is needed. Heartbroken. With this post, many netizens discussed fervently. Ha 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 ha. Sister man, what's wrong with you? Do you know Bei Yunj? Daddy Pei. Sister man, are you still the big boss of the industry I know? Work harder, you're number one. Doghead. No wonder artistes can never be seen in public. They like to suck up to rich people? Let me take a look. Which sour chicken is this again? Can't you stand properly on the streets? You're being blind again. Everyone in the industry understood this kind of hype. Qin Yu naturally knew that once he replied, he would be trying to gain popularity for Qin Youjiao. If he didn't reply, she would think that he had acquiesced to Qin Youjiao's relationship. Therefore, at the end of the month, Qin Yu had sent lawyers' letters to nearly 30 netizens, including the small celebrity who had Bei Yunj in the live stream. This move shocked everyone. After all, when Qin Yu had just entered the industry, there had been a huge commotion, but she had never seen him send a lawyer's letter in a stack. As expected of Qin Yu, the crazy sister control maniac. Seeing these dozens of lawyers' letters and Man Ran publicly attacking her, Qin Yojiao was so angry that her face turned green. However, what surprised Qin Yojiao even more was that she received a call from her manager. Jiao Jiao, there's a problem with our company. We're having a hard time with cash flow, and we're being held back by someone. We might not be able to last for more than 2 months. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao's face paled. What? Qin Yojiao clenched her fists tightly. If this news got out, she would definitely be the first to be laughed at. When she signed with her second brother's studio back then, she had been eliminated in the first round. Now that she had finally signed with a good company, such a thing actually happened. Why did this happen? Qin Yojiao took a deep breath. Her manager was also very busy. I think I offended someone. Jiao Jiao, do you know the Hua Corporation? In an instant, Qin Yojiao's face paled. Her mind was in a mess and she couldn't hear what her manager was saying at all. Jiao Jiao? Are you listening to me? Chapter 253. Others did not know why the company had offended the Hua Corporation. But Qin Yojiao knew it clearly. It was all because of that man. Qin Yojiao's eyes widened as she gritted her teeth, feeling extremely indignant. How could this be? That man was already willing to do this for Bei Yunj. Time passed and it was Friday for the parent-teacher conference. Most of the students in Class 1 and Class 2 were refreshed. On the other hand, the usually arrogant and domineering Class 7 was strangely quiet. Deskmate, who's attending your parent-teacher conference this time? Lu Yuanxi and Bei Yunj went outside to get some water. My brother. Bei Yunj narrowed her eyes. She had only mentioned this to Hua Shidu casually once and did not know if he remembered. Back then, she had only wanted to suppress her grades and had forgotten that she might be scolded at the parent-teacher conference. I see. Lu Yuanxi did not ask further. The moment he thought of Qin Yu's guard against him, his scalp turned numb. The older brothers of the Qin family were each more impressive than the other. At this moment, Mr. and Mrs. Qin had arrived a long time ago and many parents of students came forward to greet them. After all, this was the Qin family in Yuncheng. I'm going to attend the parent-teacher conference for Gu. You can attend it for Jiao Jiao. Hearing this, Mrs. Qin's expression changed immediately. Did you agree to attend the parent-teacher conference today to attend it for her? Mr. Qin, whose thoughts had been exposed, looked embarrassed. But Qin Yu has work and I don't know when Qin Lang will come. Then what did you promise Jiao Jiao? Mrs. Qin refused to let it go. Have you forgotten how Jiao Jiao cried in front of you last time? What will Jiao Jiao think if you attend her parent-teacher conference this time? With that said, Mr. Qin's expression did not look too good. Right now, Bei Yunj, who was wandering around the school, was still thinking about whether she should get Si Chengyan to help. Soon. Coincidentally, Bei Yunj happened to be walking towards Mr. and Mrs. Qin. Mr. Qin was stunned for a moment. Bei Yunj glanced at them and prepared to leave as if she did not see them. Kuhar! Mr. Qin subconsciously shouted. Mrs. Qin, who was beside him, pulled him back and could not help but ask, Are you crazy? Qin Jiai didn't know when it started, but every time Qin Jiai's father was alone, his mind would wander off and he would mention Bei Yunj. What's the matter? Bei Yunj glanced sideways at him. Did anyone attend the parent-teacher conference for you? Dad can. Thank you, Mr. Qin. Someone will come. Bei Yunj smiled. Her bright eyes were lazy and beautiful. There was no deliberate estrangement, nor was there any friendliness. It was as if they were strangers who could greet each other when they met. This feeling was like a blunt knife cutting into Father Qin's heart. It was a bloody pain. Oh, I see. Mr. Qin stiffened and nodded. All right. If Guer needs anything, you can look for me. Thank you, Mr. Qin. Bei Yunj smirked and her eyes happened to glance at Qin Yojiao, who was walking over, before she turned around and left. After Bei Yunj left, Qin Yojiao went forward and held Mrs. Qin and Mr. Qin's arms. Dad, Mom, what are you doing? Qin Yojiao pretended not to see Bei Yunj and was in high spirits. It's nothing. I met someone I know just now and chatted for a while. Mrs. Qin smiled and accompanied Qin Yojiao to class. Many people saw the scene of this family of 3 and couldn't help but discuss it. Mrs. Qin and Mr. Qin only attend the parent-teacher conference for Qin Yojiao? Chapter 254. Someone could not help asking, then Bei Yunja's parent-teacher conference will also be held by Brother Qin? Right. After all, the one he brought back from outside can't compare to the one he has always doted on. Besides, any normal person would want to hold Qin Youjiao's and Bei Yunja's parent-teacher conference. The difference in results was too big. One was second in the cohort and the other was 28th from the bottom. Compared to him, it was really embarrassing. Besides, Bei Yunj was personally raised by Director Lin, but her results were only so. Now that you mention it, I still feel that Bei Yunja's status is not legitimate. How prestigious can it be for her brother to hold it? The girl who was discussing shook her head. So what if she's not legitimate? Didn't we work so hard to get into Yunchang University? Once something happened to Master Pei, the teachers of Yunchang University almost became her support group. Another person who was chewing on an apple sighed. Forget it. Let's not worry about it. Hearing this, the girl immediately retorted, isn't it because of Director Lin? But it's impossible for Bei Yunj to get into Yun University because of Director Lin. In the office, Bei Yunj had just passed by when she saw a familiar figure. It was her first time seeing Qin Lang appear so formally in a suit and leather shoes. Besides, he appeared beside her form teacher. Bei Yunj sized up Qin Lang and saw that he was a little nervous but was pretending to be calm. Third brother is here for your parent-teacher conference. Don't worry. Third brother won't embarrass you. Where did this news leak out? Bei Yunj happened to see the form teacher, who was a little guilty, from the corner of her eye and raised an eyebrow. Come. Student Pei, bring your third brother to the classroom. Bei Yunj never thought that she would have a parent-teacher conference group and two indecent brothers who would count down to the parent-teacher conference in the group every day. Bei Yunj's lips moved. Actually, I've already. Someone came to the parent-teacher conference. Suddenly, Qin Lang heard a commotion and had a bad feeling. Then, he turned his head and saw someone who shouldn't be there. Qin Yu, why are you here? Bei Yunj froze. Even though the class teacher had seen the world, this was the first time she had seen parents of students with poor grades rushing to attend a parent-teacher conference. Moreover, they were parents who had a full schedule. I took a few days off and dyed my hair back while I was at it. Guer's parent-teacher conference, and having blue hair is not good for her image. Qin Yu smiled slightly and glanced at Qin Lang's iconic silver hair. The homeroom teacher closed his eyes in exhaustion. It's starting again. They're starting to talk to each other again. Every day after work, during his free time, he could almost always see the content of these two in Bei Yunja's parents' group chat. They didn't look like brothers at all. They looked more like enemies who were vying for favor and love. Qin Yu, what do you mean? Is there anyone with silver hair more handsome than me? Qin Lang was enraged. The two of them looked like they were about to start a fight in public. Seeing this, Bei Yunja's eyelids twitched. You! Suddenly, Qin Youjiao's cheerful voice sounded from the end of the long corridor in the distance. Brother, why are you here? In an instant, Qin Lang and Qin Yu stopped fighting and both of them looked at the noble man who was wearing an exquisite black suit and whose eyes were as dark as ink. Chapter 255. Qin Luyan buttoned his sleeve slowly and ignored Qin Youjiao. This made Qin Youjiao's expression freeze. Brother, my class is here. Qin Youjiao said coquettishly, didn't you say that you brought us gifts? Hearing this, Qin Luyan's eyes landed on her and he suddenly snorted. His low and magnetic voice was inexplicably cold. I brought you a gift. You'll know when you get back. With that said, Qin Luyan glanced sideways and did not look at Qin Youjiao again. Brother, thank you. Before Qin Youjiao could show a bright smile, she saw Qin Luyan walking towards Class 7. This scene. Not only Qin Youjiao, even the others could not help but stare fixedly at him. It had to be said that the three older brothers of the Qin family were all very handsome, but eldest brother's aura was outstanding and gave people an unreachable feeling. Only one word appeared in everyone's minds. Unapproachable. I'm sorry, Teacher Wen. I'm late. Guer's parent-teacher conference hasn't started yet, right? Qin Luyan said slowly. With that said, the form teacher froze. Qin Yu and Qin Lang turned their heads instinctively and looked at Qin Luyan in disbelief. What was going on with eldest brother? Didn't he hate such meetings the most? Did someone call him for Guer's parent-teacher conference? Brother, I came to the parent-teacher conference first. Qin Lang said unhappily. I dashed before Qin Yu could finish speaking. He and Qin Lang felt a threat in Qin Luyen's lazy gaze. Qin Yu and Qin Lang were speechless. Was there a need? Were they biological brothers? Why did he have to fight with them for a parent-teacher conference? At this moment, the atmosphere was awkward. In the next second, Bei Yunji's phone vibrated. She opened her phone and saw that it was a message from Hua Shidu. I'm almost there. Bei Yunji's pretty eyes moved. How could this situation continue to develop? Deskmate, you're good. Qin Yojiao called 2 over and you're missing 1, Lu Yuanci teased softly beside her. Bei Yunj smiled at him. There are 4. Lu Yuanci was speechless. It was his first time seeing such a big commotion at the parent-teacher conference. It was not only Class 7, even the students from the class next door were discussing it. F***CK. I thought that Qin Yojiao asked her parents to attend the parent-teacher conference was to show off that she was a legitimate daughter. Now that I look at it, I feel like Bei Yunj has a heavenly group standing beside her. Someone could not help but mock her. I'm going to die of laughter for Qin Yojiao too. She's so flirtatious online, yet she's still pretending to be innocent. Now, no matter how bad Bei Yunj's results are, there are people fighting to attend her parent-teacher conference. Logically speaking, Bei Yunj has only been back for 2 to 3 years. Why do the Qin brothers like her so much? Is hers as? Hearing these discussions, Qin Yojiao's face paled and her eyes were filled with hatred as she looked at Bei Yunj. Her fingers were clenched so tightly that they turned white. Bei Yunj, Bei Yunj. Everywhere, Bei Yunj was slapping her in the face. A dark look flashed past Qin Yojiao's eyes. At last, the form teacher went to another class and asked for a few chairs, so that these 3 big shots could sit down. In Class 7's classroom, a group of girls was outside the window. When they saw Qin Luyen and the rest sitting in a row, they almost screamed. These were male idols. All of them were popular male idols. Chapter 256. Even the parents looked at Qin Luyen from time to time. Qin Luyen and the other 2 were used to it and felt like they were basking in the spring breeze. However, Bei Yunj, who was sitting at the side, felt a little complicated. Especially at this moment, Lu Yuanci was even giving her an encouraging look. Bei Yunj was speechless. Who would be willing to bring a group of people to watch when they failed all the tests? However, other than Bei Yunj, the 3 brothers of the Qin family were in a good mood at this parent-teacher conference. Her foreign language score is very high, 87 marks. Qin Lang started to boast. In time, our Guer can even be a translator. With that said, the parent, who had reprimanded her child because she only scored 100 marks for her foreign language, almost spat out a mouthful of water. With this standard, she could be a translator. Are you dreaming? Then, Qin Yu did not want to be outdone. He picked up Bei Yunji's Chinese paper. Guer's Chinese results are quite good too. Her ancient poems are all correct. Oh right, second brother wants to release a national song next time. How about Guer write the lyrics for second brother? The parents beside him could not stand it anymore. Wasn't he F***king pampering her too much? He could boast about 70 to 80 marks. At this moment, only a few students whose results were about the same as Bei Yunji's looked at her in admiration and even gave her a thumbs up. As expected of Bei Yunj, the brothers at home were each more amazing than the other. Bei Yunji's bright and arrogant eyes darkened visibly as she resisted the urge to walk out. This scene made Lu Yuanci lie on the table, but he could not help but cover his abdomen with one hand as he suppressed his laughter. Not long after, the short class meeting was finally over, and the parents all walked towards the conference hall. Don't worry. Even if our girl scores 0, it's not a big deal, Qin Yu said. Bei Yunj glanced at the time and felt that Hua Shidu might be coming. Actually, Bei Yunj looked up at Qin Yu. I've already asked Brother Shidu to help me with the parent-teacher conference. He's here too. Qin Yu was stunned. Bei Yunj. Yes. Qin Yu thought for a while. It's fine. Then the 5 of us will sit in a row. Bei Yunj. Forget it, Hengda's conference hall was indeed very big. A few minutes later. Sure enough, when Bei Yunj and the others entered the venue, a tall figure appeared. Qin Yu's eyes were sharp and he saw Huashidu immediately. Master Du here. Hearing this, Huashidu looked towards Qin Yu. However, he did not expect that other than him, there would be someone else holding a parent-teacher conference for Bai Yunj. Moreover, there was more than one. However, Huashidu didn't think too much about it and walked towards Bai Yunj. At the same time, many people's gazes fell on Huashidu. She originally thought that the three brothers of the Qin family were already eye-catching enough, but she didn't expect another godlike man to appear. The handsome man was also dressed in formal wear, but his eyebrows were clear and noble. He had wide shoulders and a narrow waist, and his legs were slender and excessively ascetic. His casual and lazy appearance was still impossible to ignore. I'm gone. What kind of exquisite man is this? Is this also Bai Yunja's brother? Sob, sob, sob. How can he be a man who looks exactly like me? I like mature men too much. Compared to the stinky younger brothers in school, who doesn't like a gentle and hormonal older brother? Chapter 257. Stop talking. Whether it's the school hunk or the domineering CEO, they're not ours. With that said, everyone seemed to hear the faint sound of their hearts breaking. Wasn't this too real? At this moment, Bai Yunj raised an eyebrow and turned around quickly. However, she had clearly heard the girls' discussion just now. Seeing that the young lady not far away had suddenly turned her head and did not look at him anymore, Huashidu raised his eyebrows and did not say anything. Master Du, aren't you being too diligent? You even came to my sister's parent-teacher conference, Qin Yu said happily. Hearing this, Huashidu glanced at him and said carelessly, I didn't expect someone to come either. And there were 3 of them. It's all right. It's not troublesome to have more people. Let's listen together. Qin Yu was very generous. Bai Yunj was controlling her expression very well. Sir, you are. Qin Luyan's gaze had been on Huashidu. At this moment, Huashidu glanced sideways. His attitude was neither close nor distant. He smirked. Huashidu. I've heard a lot about you. So it's President Hua. Qin Luyan was indeed surprised. He did not expect the person in front of him to be the rumored heir of the Hua Corporation. I heard Yun mention President Qin. After Huashidu finished speaking, Bai Yunj glanced at him in confusion. When had she mentioned Qin Luyan? However, at this moment, when Qin Yu and Qin Lang heard this, their hearts ached inexplicably. Guer had actually mentioned Big Brother. Then, did he never mention them? Qin Luyan smiled and chatted casually with Huashidu for a while. After that, the two of them had no intention of continuing. A row of 5 people sat together in the conference hall. Bai Yunj, who was in the middle, was a little silent. It was only when she felt Huashidu's gaze from the side that she leaned closer to Huashidu unconsciously and explained softly in his ear. I didn't know they were here either. She knew that this scene was very out of control. We'll talk when we get back. Let's attend the parent-teacher conference first. Bai Yunj was speechless. There was no need to be so serious. Qin Luyan, who had been observing Huashidu, also realized that the man's motive seemed to be only for the parent-teacher conference. He could not help but darken his eyes. Brother, why are you looking at Master Du? Qin Yu asked. Qin Luyan turned around. You know him? Guer lives in his house. Qin Yu was stunned for a moment before he quickly spoke up for Huashidu. Don't worry. I've known him since high school and I've never seen him fall for anyone. How could there be such a coincidence when an iron tree blossoms? Qin Luyan frowned. He indeed did not see Huashidu doing anything inappropriate to Guer. He observed for 10 minutes, and it was mostly Guer who was chatting with him. The man listened attentively, but his eyes were fixed on the PowerPoint slide that was automatically rolling on the screen. The 2 people who were being observed. Brother, do you know my monthly test results? Bai Yunj was considering whether she should let Huashidu be mentally prepared. Huashidu looked up and chuckled softly. No need. I want to maintain a sense of anticipation. Bai Yunj was speechless. Looking at the usually bright and arrogant little girl who wanted to say something but was hesitating with a complicated expression, Huashidu could not help but smile. Brother, I'm afraid you won't be able to accept it, Bai Yunj said honestly. She had to know that she still had to attend the parent-teacher conference. At the very least, she would pass all of them. Yun, have some confidence in yourself. the man said slowly. P.S. There are 19 chapters here. Old Sue is continuing to write. You will see 30 chapters before midnight. Be obedient and remember the monthly ticket. Sleep early and good night. Chapter 258. After struggling for a moment, Bai Yunj decided to give up. However, on the other side, Qin Yojiao gritted her teeth when she saw this scene. At first, she thought that Bai Yunj would only embarrass herself at this parent-teacher conference. However, she did not expect Qin Yu to take leave to attend Bai Yunj's parent-teacher conference. And Big Brother and that man. Jiao Jiao? Did you see that? She's second in the level again. Her results are very stable. Mrs. Qin could not help but laugh, her eyes filled with glee. This should be her daughter. Of course I can't embarrass Mom. The darkness in Qin Yojiao's eyes dissipated and she smiled at her. The school leader spoke for more than 10 minutes. Not long after, the top 100 and bottom 100 of the grade ranking were displayed on the screen. However, in order to make things less awkward for the bottom 100 students, the school leaders chose to only show the students' surnames and student numbers. Yun Yun, you should be the only one with the surname Pei in the entire level, right? The man glanced at the 28th place from the bottom and turned around, his tone cynical. Bai Yunj was speechless. Big Brother looks quite sad when he sees it like this. Bai Yunj was speechless. Until the parent-teacher conference ended. The form teacher of Class 7 even specially asked Bai Yunj to stay. Student Pei, which brother usually cares more about your studies? I still have something on, so I have to talk to you privately. There's no need for the other parents. The form teacher was also a little guilty. With so many brothers surrounding him, what if they didn't like what he said and hit him directly? With that said, without waiting for the Qin brothers to look forward to it, Bai Yunj looked at Huashidu, her excessively beautiful eyes curved. She reached out and tugged at Huashidu's sleeve. Brother. Seeing this, Qin Yu and Qin Lang could not help but turn red. Her 3 biological brothers were here, but Gur did not choose any of them. However, Qin Luyen's eyes darkened and he glanced at Huashidu. He was selfish and did not want Gur to have too much contact with other men. But now, Gur might not be the same as before. She might not have so many expectations for her big brother. Gur, you want Mr. Hua to be your parent? Qin Luyen pursed his lips and asked gently. Yes. Bai Yunj answered without hesitation. When the 3 brothers heard this, they were silent for a moment and did not say anything else. Thank you, Mr. Hua. Qin Luyen nodded at Huashidu. Huashidu glanced at Bai Yunj and smiled imperceptibly. It's no trouble. When Huashidu entered the office and chatted with the form teacher privately, Bai Yunj leaned against the wall alone. A short while later, Qin Yojiao's voice appeared at an inappropriate time. She held Qin Luyen's hand and smiled. Big brother, let's go eat. Mom said that since I won an award this time, let's go out to eat together. A dark look flashed past Qin Luyen's eyes and he glanced at his watch. He looked up at Qin Yojiao. You don't have to go out to eat. I got someone to prepare it at home. Let's go back to the old mansion together. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao could not suppress the excitement in her eyes. Really? Big brother? It had been a long time since she stayed in the old mansion. However, Big Brother was the most powerful person in the family now. Even the old master would listen to Big Brother a little. Qin Luyen did not answer this question. Instead, he glanced at Qin Yu and Qin Lang and said calmly, You guys can come too. Dad and Mom too. Qin Yu inexplicably felt that something big was about to happen, but it was not easy to figure it out. Chapter 259. After all, eldest brother's temper was unpredictable to begin with. Qin Yu and Qin Lang only left reluctantly after greeting Bai Yunj. On the other hand, Bai Yunj leaned against the wall and knocked on the wall in boredom. You haven't left yet? Lu Yuanci was a little surprised. My brother is having a private conversation inside. Bai Yunj glanced at him. Why didn't your parents come? My parents are overseas. The old madam has something on today, so she didn't come. Hearing this, Bai Yunj nodded. Then you should go back early. The person inside isn't your biological brother, right? Lu Yuanci suddenly asked. Bai Yunj did not intend to hide it. Lu Yuanci's eyes darkened and no one knew what he was thinking. All right, Then you should go back early. I'll get going first. Okay, bye. Bei Yunj waved. Hua Shidu went in for about half an hour before the door opened. The moment Bei Yunj saw Hua Shidu come out, she felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. Let's go. I'll take you to eat. Auntie Meow isn't around today. Let's go to the restaurant, Hua Shidu said. Okay. Bei Yunj followed Hua Shidu all the way until she got into the car and fastened her seatbelt. She asked calmly, Brother, why aren't you saying anything? The man said slowly, It's brother's first time coming to school to be scolded. I haven't thought of what to say yet. Through the rearview mirror, Hua Shidu saw Bei Yunj's expression and his thin red lips curled up. Teacher Wen said that Yun Yun is very smart, but she doesn't like to study. Yun Yun, tell brother why you don't want to study? Is it because of the Qin family? Bei Yunj. No. Then is it because of brother? Bei Yunj's answer was even faster. No. Hearing this, Hua Shidu chuckled softly again and glanced at the girl beside him lightly. He dragged out his voice. Then do you have to make brother unhappy? Bei Yunj. Seeing that the girl had fallen silent, Hua Shidu suddenly said casually, Yun Yun. Bei Yunj looked up at him. Hua Shidu added, Open the drawer in front of you. Bei Yunj did not hesitate. She turned around and opened the drawer. She found that it was filled with a lot of candy. It's okay if you don't do well. Brother will teach you well. Bei Yunj glanced sideways and saw the man's superior jawline and handsome and noble eyes. His magnetic and lazy chuckle tickled her eardrums. I was just teasing you just now. How can I bully our Yun Yun like this? Bei Yunj's heart beat faster for some reason. She took a piece of candy and peeled it with her eyes lowered. Brother, do you want some? It's for you. Big brother doesn't eat anything too sweet. At night, Qin family's old residence. 6 people were seated at the round table. Lu Yan, you're finally back. I haven't seen you for a long time. Have you lost weight? Mrs. Qin was very happy tonight. The people he wanted to see were all there, and the people he didn't want to see weren't there. No. Qin Luyan's tone was calm as he said, Mom, I've prepared a few boxes of pearls and diamonds for you. Didn't you want the designer to design them for you last time? Did you hear that? Lu Yan is much more filial than the two of you. Mrs. Qin was overjoyed. Second brother, third brother, and dad, I've prepared them too. The assistant will bring them over later. Qin Luyan slowly cut the steak and took a sip of red wine. Big brother, what about me? Qin Yu pouted coquettishly, thinking that Qin Luyan wanted to give her a surprise. Chapter 260. Of course you have one too. Qin Luyan glanced at her and suddenly smirked. What did Big Brother prepare for me? Qin Yojiao was excited. Ever since Bei Yunj came out of the mental hospital, second brother, third brother and the rest had never prepared a gift for her. I prepared a household registration certificate for you. Qin Luyan's slow words made Qin Yojiao's face pale. The knife and fork in Mrs. Qin's hand also fell to the ground. Then she quickly stood up. Luyan, what nonsense are you talking about? At this moment, Qin Yu and Qin Lang sat quietly, looking at Qin Luyan in admiration. As expected of Big Brother. Mom, your daughter can have someone else, but the elder young miss of the Qin family can only be Bei Yunj. Qin Luyan put down the red wine glass and wiped his thin lips. However, this refined and elegant appearance made people's hair stand on end. Within moments, Qin Luyan took the household registration certificate from the side and put on his gold-rimmed glasses. The man was still refined and handsome. His tone was neither fast nor slow, but it was a little unreasonable. After tonight, Miss Qin Yojiao will move out of the Qin family. Qin Luyan, how dare you? Mrs. Qin's voice became shrill as she roared angrily. That's not right either. Qin Luyan ignored Mrs. Qin and said with a smile. The name Qin Yojiao was prepared for Guer. Although Guer doesn't need it anymore, it shouldn't be yours. Big brother, you. Qin Yojiao's face paled and she immediately went forward to pull Qin Luyan. Her entire body was trembling as she said with a sobbing tone, Big brother, why did you become like this too? But I didn't do anything. Why are you chasing me away? I can give you the name, but this surname must be changed back. Miss Zhang. Qin Luyan's last 3 words almost made Qin Yojiao's face turn pale. Back then, when Bei Yunj was found, the Qin family had also found her biological father, who was the director of the mental hospital. However, Qin Yojiao despised her biological father for opening a mental hospital and doing illegal things, so she had always been reluctant to go home. In fact, after her biological father was cut by Bei Yunj, Qin Yojiao had never thought of going back to take a look. Big brother, don't do this. Qin Yojiao's makeup was ruined from crying and she was out of breath. I don't want to go back. Can you not make me go back? I will never go against Bei Yunj again. Please. Qin Luyan flung Qin Yojiao's hand away and said coldly, tomorrow morning, everyone will know that Bei Yunj is the only eldest young miss of the Qin family. In his previous life, he had also thought of doting on this little sister of his. But who would have thought that when his leg was broken by that woman back then, Qin Yojiao would run over eagerly and become that woman's good friend. She even helped that woman and forced him to marry her. He wanted him to marry a woman who had ruined the Qin family. What a joke. Qin Luyan restrained the coldness and hostility in his eyes, and the indifference in his eyes returned to normal. But now, everything could be redone. Then, what he wanted to do was to protect Gu'er and the Qin family. Lu Yan, don't go overboard, Father Qin said in a deep voice. Although he wanted Gu'er to come back, he did not want Jiao Jiao to leave either. After leaving the Qin family, Jiao Jiao would definitely suffer a lot. Dad, Mom, I've already bought a manor for the two of you in our nation. If you want to go, I'll get someone to send you there tomorrow. Chapter 261. Hearing this, even Qin Yu and Qin Lang sucked in a breath of cold air. What was eldest brother doing? Forcing her to abdicate. If Mr. and Mrs. Qin did not let Qin Yojiao leave, he would send these two people overseas directly. This was too ruthless. He was indeed the man who Grandpa had said was the most capable of inheriting the family business. Seeing this, Qin Yu and Qin Lang felt a refreshing wind blow from their tailbones to the back of their heads. They felt refreshed. It was a pity that they could not record this exciting scene. Qin Luyan, what do you mean? Are you going against the heavens? Mrs. Qin looked at him in disbelief. Qin Luyan did not have much emotion. He had probably guessed that Mrs. Qin would be like this. He chuckled. If you say so, then so be it. Luyan, there are some things that you have to think carefully. Is what you're doing really right? Mr. Qin said in a low voice. Dad, don't worry. I will never regret what I've done in this life. Qin Luyan smirked at him. Then, the father and son looked at each other. One had a complicated gaze while the other was calm. The night was rainy. Qin Luyan looked at the girl in front of him. She was crying so hard that she could not breathe, but there was no pity in his eyes. I've already gotten someone to change your school record. From now on, you have nothing to do with our Qin family. Eldest brother, I'm begging you. Can you not chase me away? I'm not the eldest young miss of the Qin family. Please let me stay, okay? Qin Yojiao grabbed Qin Luyan's hand and begged. She was drenched and looked disheveled, her eyes filled with tears. However, looking at this scene, Qin Luyan chuckled. This scene was too familiar. In his previous life, when Gur was seriously ill, he had also climbed down from the wheelchair on this rainy day and knelt down to beg this woman, hoping that she could give some medical fees to save Gur. But in the end, she broke that bank card in front of him. She leaned in front of him and smiled. Eldest brother, even if you're not my eldest brother now, I won't give it to anyone else even if I'm ruined. Do you understand? Qin Luyan lifted her chin, but his black eyes were filled with coldness. His smiling voice made one shiver. Qin Yojiao, I didn't kill you because I had my reservations. Is that clear? After saying this, Qin Yojiao looked into Qin Luyan's cold eyes and the coldness spread to her bones unconsciously. She shuddered. Big brother had never looked at her like that before. Such a big brother was too terrifying. The next day, another explosive piece of news came from the Qin clan, shocking everyone. Qin Yojiao, who was doted on by the Qin family, was actually not Mr. Qin and Mrs. Qin's biological daughter. Instead, he had been swapped with someone else back then. That was why Qin Yojiao had been occupying her place for so many years. She enjoyed all the rights that belonged to Bei Yunj. When this news came out, many people thought it was fake news. However, they soon realized that the person who had sent the application was the Qin Corporation. If that was the case, then wasn't Qin Youjiao's condescending Bei Yunj too disgusting? She ate someone else's food, used someone else's things, and even took over someone else's parents and brother for almost 20 years. She actually had the cheek to pretend to be aggrieved. What kind of pretentious white lotus was this? However, what was even more confusing was Mrs. Qin's statement of severing ties back then. What was wrong with doting on a fake daughter and abandoning her biological daughter? Chapter 262. Perhaps because the news this time was too sensational, the popularity of the topic remained high. It was at the top of the list for the entire day. The netizens were also discussing. What is the Qin family doing? It's all about their family every day. It can't be, it can't be, it can't be. Our beloved little Princess Qin is actually a fake daughter, heartbroken. Then didn't that little celebrity who was so arrogant and said that she was Qin Youjiao's best friend suffer a huge loss? She offended the real young lady. Isn't this her fate of being frozen? Someone in the industry exposed that the company Qin Youjiao is in can't do it anymore. It will definitely go bankrupt in 3 months. This comment is proof. No wonder the Qin brothers are so protective of Bei Yunj. How can they not protect their biological sister? The real young lady's life is really good. She's not in the Qin family and is still Director Lin's daughter. Even if she's not their biological daughter, she's still a daughter they've raised for almost 20 years. The Qin family is too tasteless. Arrange it for me. I want the analysis upstairs. Contrarian Research Institute. Because of this incident, more than half of Qin Youjiao's fans had left. After all, Qin Youjiao had become popular because of her fair and rich beauty. But now, the Qin family had personally criticized her for not being the Qin family's eldest young lady. So many fans could not accept it. Especially the storm of Qin Youjiao mentioning Bei Yunj in the livestream. This was not over yet. The next day. This matter was also spreading like wildfire in Hengda High School. Even the girls who usually played well with Qin Youjiao started to talk bad about her. Even Ling Jiwei, who was in the same class as Bei Yunj, did not look too good. She never thought that Bei Yunj was the real eldest young lady of the Qin family and Qin Youjiao was actually an imposter? All these years, she was actually trying to please a fake young lady of the Qin family. There were many people who had the same thoughts as Ling Jiwei. However, because of this matter, many people gradually understood that Bei Yunj was really not to be offended. Master Pei, let's go to the canteen for lunch. Chu Zhixing lost weight very quickly. This was probably because Lu Yuanxi often dragged him to play basketball with him. One could vaguely see the heroic spirit in his eyes. All right. Bei Yunj was not in a good mood. She went to the cafeteria with Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanxi. But what he didn't expect was, at this time, someone actually came to find trouble with her. Cheng Zihuai held Qin Youjiao's hand and walked in front of her with a dark expression. Bei Yunj, you should have some self-awareness. Even if you are the eldest daughter of the Qin family, no one will think that you are very powerful. Cheng Zihuai sneered. You were just born into a good family. Other than that, how can you compare to Jiao Jiao? Bei Yunj's appetite, which was already not very good at noon, became even worse. She suddenly laughed, her eyes bright and flamboyant. Bei Yunj looked up slowly, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. He patiently said playfully, Student Cheng, can you get lost? As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Cheng Zihuai was the most handsome boy in Hengda and also the most outstanding senior in the 3rd year of high school. Even Lu Yuanxi had never spoken to Cheng Zihuai like this before. Bei Yunj, you. Cheng Zihuai's expression darkened. Cheng Zihuai, as a man, are you looking for trouble with girls whenever you have problems? Lu Yuanxi interrupted. Cheng Zihuai's eyes swept over Lu Yuanxi coldly before they landed on Bei Yunj. He laughed coldly. No wonder you're so powerful. So you found a helper. Chapter 263. With that said, he glanced at everyone again, as if what he said to Bei Yunj just now was also said to everyone. Qin Youjiao is my fiancé. This matter has been decided a long time ago. I also want to know who wants to go against the Cheng family. With that said, the thoughts of many people who wanted to ridicule Qin Youjiao immediately dissipated. They almost forgot that Qin Youjiao and Cheng Zihuai had such a good relationship. Even if she wasn't the Qin family's young lady, she would still be the young madam of the Cheng family in the future. Indeed, they could not offend her. However, at this moment, Bei Yunj suddenly laughed and stood up slowly. This scene made Lu Yuanxi's eyelid twitch and he had a bad feeling. Yunj you! Before Lu Yuanxi could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj walking in front of Cheng Zihuai slowly. Bei Yunj, what else do you have to pretend for? Cheng Zihuai snorted disdainfully. Haven't you always been jealous of Jiao Jiao and think that Jiao Jiao stole something from you? Why don't you see if you're worthy of being with Jiajia? Before he could finish speaking, before everyone could react, they saw Cheng Zihuai being thrown over his shoulder by Bei Yunj. Why are you so arrogant in front of me? Bei Yunj's beautiful and charming eyes were filled with uncontrollable ruthlessness as she spoke with a smile. At this moment, the scalps of those who saw this turned numb. Fortunately, they did not go and provoke Bei Yunj back then. He had actually dealt with Cheng Zihuai in front of so many people. Big boss. She was really a big boss. Not to mention the others, even Lu Yuanxi, who was sitting not far away, dropped his chopsticks in shock. Lu Yuanxi was perplexed. Why was his deskmate so wild? Suddenly, Cheng Zihuai's furious voice sounded. Bei Yunj! He was actually beaten up by a girl in front of so many people in school. This girl was Bei Yunj. Without giving him a chance to stand up, Bei Yunj stepped on Cheng Zihuai's chest ruthlessly and rubbed it carelessly. Cheng Zihuai's face turned pale from the pain and he almost shouted out loud. Her bright eyes were full of impudence as she laughed again. To be honest, I've wanted to do this for a long time, student Cheng. If it weren't for the parent-teacher conference yesterday, she would have smashed the chair on Cheng Zihuai's head. At this moment, seeing this, Qin Youjiao's legs still turned weak. She did not expect Bei Yunj to hit her. This woman even dared to teach Cheng Zihuai a lesson, let alone her. So don't look for trouble with me for no reason. Bei Yunj's red lips curled into a smile. She bent down slightly, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Otherwise, I'll be stepping on your head next time. After that, just as Cheng Zihuai felt that his bones were about to break, Bei Yunj suddenly lifted her leg. She turned to pick up her plate and asked lazily, "Are you guys going to continue eating?" Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanxi reacted and shook their heads frantically. If he didn't leave now and the teacher on duty saw him, this ancestor would enter the principal's office again. After Bei Yunj left, Cheng Zihuai's expression was terrible and the people around him did not dare to look at him. "Zihuai, are you okay?" Qin Youjiao went forward and asked with concern. Cheng Zihuai did not care that Qin Youjiao had watched him being taught a lesson just now. After all, Qin Youjiao was just an ordinary girl. She was probably shocked as well. I'll make her pay the price sooner or later. Cheng Zihuai's face was almost livid as he gritted his teeth and said this. Master Pei, isn't your temper too bad today? Chapter 264. Lu Yuanxi could not help teasing. At this moment, he could not help but remember the first time he met Bei Yunj. It seemed like Bei Yunj had saved him some face back then. Otherwise, if he was beaten up in the canteen, he would probably be depressed for a week. Really? Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow. Lu Yuanxi immediately said honestly, "This morning when I saw you sitting, I didn't even dare to ask you to move when I got into my seat." This morning, even the corners of Bei Yunj's eyes were slightly cold and the atmosphere was inexplicably low. Unfortunately, Cheng Zihuai's eyes were on his head and he still threw himself at the gun. Bei Yunj was speechless. She did not notice this. This morning, when she heard Hu Shidu say that she would go to his office to do her homework from Friday to Sunday, she was a little resistant. However, she did not expect even Lu Yuanxi to notice it. Bei Yunj recalled that when that man sent her to school this morning, he had even scratched her chin and smiled seductively. "Why are you so happy to do your homework in brother's office? Why are your ears red?" Bei Yunj was speechless. This man was indeed lying to her. After school, Qin Youjiao had just left when she heard a voice beside her. "Jiao Jiao." Qin Youjiao looked up instinctively. When she saw Mrs. Qin, she immediately ran over and hugged her, crying uncontrollably. "Mom, are you the only one who still wants me at home?" Qin Youjiao choked. "It's not convenient for your father to come over either. After all, your older brother." Mrs. Qin's expression did not look too good either. She did not expect Qin Luyan to be so ruthless the moment he returned. "Mom, then can't I go home in the future?" Qin Yojiao was really afraid that she would return to her original family. Jiao Jiao, don't be afraid. Mom is here. I won't let anyone bully you. With that said, Mrs. Qin took out a key and a bank card. This is the residence your father bought previously. Jiao Jiao, you can stay there. Although Mom can't accompany you, I won't let Jiao Jiao suffer. And this card has 6 million yuan. You can't move too much for the time being. I'm afraid your older brother will find out. Hearing this, Qin Yojiao hated Bei Yunj even more. Why did Bei Yunj come back? Why did she have to lose everything she had for so many years? Mom, do I have to live outside in the future? Qin Yojiao's eyes reddened. It was only now that Mrs. Qin realized that Qin Luyen was the most similar to Old Master Qin. In the past, Old Master Qin refused to let Qin Yojiao stay in the old manor. Now, Qin Luyen refused to let Qin Yojiao go home. Everyone was comparing Jiao Jiao to a dead end. Mrs. Qin caressed Qin Yojiao lovingly as a dark look flashed past her eyes. Jiao Jiao, as long as you become more outstanding, Mom will have a way to make you come back. Besides, I've already talked to Madam Cheng about your engagement with Zihuai. The Cheng family will not allow their daughter-in-law to not have a beautiful background. When she heard that, a dark glint flashed through Qin Yojiao's eyes as she relaxed slightly. As long as Mother Qin didn't give up on her, she still had a chance to go back. Bei Yunj. Heh, she didn't believe that she couldn't drag this trash down. Hua Corporation. In the CEO's office. Bei Yunj saw a small figure sitting obediently on the sofa. Momo. Momo looked up and her eyes lit up when she saw Bei Yunj. Sister. Momo put down her pen and ran over to hug Bei Yunj's thigh, saying in a childish voice, Sister, are you here to do your homework too? Chapter 265. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She glanced at the man who was working and led Momo to the sofa. The two of them, one big and one small, sat at the coffee table. Each of them had a bottle of milk, a homework book, and a pen. The scene was inexplicably adorable. However, Hua Shidu seemed to be very busy today and did not look up at them. After a while, Momo asked softly, Sister, when Grandma and I went to Brother's house last time, were you hiding in Brother's closet? Bei Yunj's fingers paused. Yes. Was Sister playing hide and seek? Then where was Brother hiding? Momo was even more curious. Sister forgot. Bei Yunj's eyes curved and she quickly changed the topic. Momo, why are you here to do your homework today? Because Grandma went out to play. Momo and Alas have to stay at Brother's place for the night. Momo was initially unwilling, but when he thought about how Bei Yunj was staying at Huashidu's place, he quickly agreed. I see. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Suddenly, not far away, the man's casual voice sounded. Momo, if you continue to affect your sister's studies, Alas will have to stay on the streets. Bei Yunj. Momo immediately covered his mouth and looked at Huashidu accusingly. Brother was not talking to him, and he was not letting him talk to sister. Momo was unhappy, but he did not dare to disobey his brother. He could only puff up his cheeks angrily. In the evening, Bei Yunj took advantage of the time when Huashidu was in a meeting to take out her iPad when her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Yu Manran calling. She quickly picked it up. What's wrong? As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, she heard loud music on the other end of the phone, mixed with a woman's excited scream. Yu Manran was at a bar. Come to Muse. Yu Manran was a little excited. Bei Yunj quietly turned on her iPad and continued to browse through the documents. She said lazily, Spare me, I just finished a parent-teacher conference. Before she could finish her sentence, Bei Yunj suddenly heard an ear-piercing scream. It seemed that something had happened. Yu Manran? Bei Yunj was just about to ask when the phone was hung up. What was going on? Bei Yunj frowned and tapped the coffee table twice with his fingertips. He was still worried that something would happen to Yu Manran. Momo, when Big Brother comes back later, help me pass a message. Tell him that Big Sister went to find a friend, okay? Bei Yunj looked at Momo. Okay, sister, be careful, Momo replied. She cupped her cheeks in boredom, looking dazed and cute. Bei Yunj couldn't help but smile and kiss Momo before leaving. Muse. Big sister man, calm down. How are you going to explain later if you trick that ancestor into coming here? The manager's head was about to explode. How could there be such a difficult artist to manage? Yu Manran burped. He was completely drunk, but his eyes were very fierce. No. I asked Guer to come here to avenge me. The manager looked at the table full of money that Yu Manran had lost and couldn't help but twitch his eyelids. Ha! Make sure that ancestor doesn't come here to take your life first, okay? After finding out that Bei Yunj was the real daughter of the Qin family, the manager was even more certain that Bei Yunj was not someone to be trifled with. In the end, Yu Manran was like an idiot. He lost a game of cards and insisted on getting Bei Yunj to come here. Wasn't he afraid that Bei Yunj would come here to beat him up instead of playing cards? Chapter 266. Yu Manran burped again and walked unsteadily to the card table. Sister man, it's just a game of cards. You don't have to go that far. The rich second-generation heirs who had known Yu Manran for a long time were at a loss for words. Who knew that Yu Manran would be so stubborn when he was drunk and insist on winning? How long had he been dragging them into this game? Wait for my Guer to come. We will definitely win back our losses. Yu Manran said as he burped. He looked drunk. This made the rich second-generation heirs a little interested in Bei Yunj. Who was Yu Manran? She was a famous arrogant lady in the entertainment circle. How could she be so obedient? However, half an hour later, Bei Yunj arrived. When she saw the drunk Yu Manran sitting at the card table, the corners of her eyes couldn't help but twitch. She had thought that something had happened to this person. Yu Manran. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice sounded. This leisurely tone inexplicably made the manager shudder. However, Yu Manran was completely unaware. The moment he heard Bei Yunj's voice, he pounced forward and hugged Bei Yunj. Guer! Save me! Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She pried Yu Manran open little by little and asked lazily, "What's wrong?" At this moment, several rich second-generation heirs who were playing cards saw Bei Yunj's face clearly and a trace of surprise flashed past their eyes. Which family did this lady come from? She was so beautiful that she was eye-catching. Not long after, Bei Yunj realized that when Yu Manran said save her, he meant save her table's luck. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj sat on Yu Manran's seat and leisurely won back what Yu Manran had lost. The three rich second-generation heirs lost so badly that they started to doubt their lives. Where did Yu Manran find this person? Wasn't this too cruel? After winning everything back, Bei Yunj quickly stood up and said, "Okay, I still have something to do. I have to go back." Guer, why don't you play for a while more? Yu Manran held onto Bei Yunj's arm and said coquettishly. No. Bei Yunj glanced at her and couldn't be bothered to argue with the drunkard. However, when Yu Manran heard this, he suddenly whispered, "Guer, don't tell me you're in love?" Bei Yunj paused for a moment and looked at her leisurely. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm not spouting nonsense. Something must have happened if you're in such a hurry to go back. After Yu Manran finished speaking, a glint flashed across her eyes. She chuckled inexplicably and moved closer to Bei Yunj's ear. Why don't you try it secretly next time? There was an ambiguous meaning in his words. Bei Yunj quickly understood what Yu Manran was implying. What do you want me to try? Yu Manran said, the easiest ways to test your feelings are holding hands, kissing, and making love. After speaking, Yu Manran smiled meaningfully. Forget about the last one. Guer is still so young. It looks like you've really drunk too much. Bei Yunj looked at her and laughed leisurely again. Yu Manran, who had drunk too much, was indeed bold. Her instincts told her that something must have happened to Bei Yunj. Hence, Yu Manran used all kinds of methods to make Bei Yunj continue to play cards a few more times. He wanted to see if Bei Yunj, who was in a relationship with Bei Yunj, would take the initiative to look for Bei Yunj. But to Bei Yunj, this card game was just like the homework she had done in the office just now. There was nothing that could pique her interest. But perhaps it was because of what Yu Manran had said just now that she suddenly remembered the scene in the closet with Washidu. She couldn't tell if she was nervous at that time or if her heart was really beating faster. Chapter 267. At this moment, Washidu had just finished his meeting when he realized that the little one was missing. Where's your sister? Washidu squatted on one knee and looked at him, held his cheeks with both hands and tilted his head. His homework was placed far away. Sister went to look for a friend. Look for a friend? Huashidu raised his eyebrows slightly. He had never paid attention to this little guy's social circle. Did she say when she would be back? Emomo shook his head and explained on behalf of Bei Yunj. Sister left in a hurry. However, suddenly, Yu Hanran made a phone call. What's the matter? Huashidu's tone was casual as he walked towards his desk. Ha ha ha, Master Du, you're not good at managing the family. Our sister even went to Muse. Yu Hanran gloated. The moment he heard the news, he called. How did you know? Huashidu stopped in his tracks and asked unhurriedly. I saw that you were in a hurry to look for her the last time. I told my subordinates to inform me if our sister goes again in the future. Yu Hanran teased. Has our sister been led astray? What should we do? Immediately. Before he could finish speaking, the call was hung up. Yu Hanran. Wasn't this man too heartless? Throwing him away after using him? Muse bar. The three rich second-generation heirs could not help but feel their hearts ache as they watched the chips in their hands decrease. Yu Man, this woman, actually found such a strong external helper? They looked at the baby-faced girl beside them who secretly handed Bei Yunj a fruit plate and got Bei Yunj to go easy on her. The other two. There was such an open back door? Soon, Yu Man saw the two angry and distorted faces and gradually calmed down. One of them even silently reached into his pocket and took out a cigarette box. Yu Man immediately interrupted. Feng Fei, Gur is still a high middle school student. Before he could finish speaking, he stopped abruptly. Bei Yunj, who was playing cards, did not notice a pair of bony hands behind him. He casually took a lollipop from the table next to him. Then, he brought it to her lips. Bei Yunj subconsciously bit the candy when she smelled the faint scent of lychee. But a moment later, he felt a pleasant and familiar cold fragrance around him. Bei Yunj. The next moment, Bei Yunj slowly turned her head and looked into the man's pale eyes. Brother? Bei Yunj had just opened her mouth when the man reached out and casually held the candy stick. His low, magnetic, and languid voice sounded softly. Bite it, Yun. These words caused people's imaginations to run wild, causing their faces to blush and their hearts to race. Especially when he saw the person's face clearly, his heart beat even faster. Only Yu Man saw clearly that the man who came was actually Huashidu. He was so scared that he woke up. Master Du. Yu Manran's brain froze. She never thought that the person she thought would be related to Gur was actually this person? Wasn't this person famous for not getting close to women? Oh, this was true. She had personally experienced it. Back then, old Madame Hua had randomly matched Yu Man. When she saw that Huashidu was indifferent to everyone, she even had designs on Yu Man. After all, the Hua family and the Yu family had always been on good terms. But how could Yu Man have the guts to do that? No matter how good-looking or how powerful he wasn't someone she could get her hands on, alright? Hence, when Yu Man heard the news that night, she immediately got a boyfriend to save her life. Chapter 268. The man's nonchalant gaze landed on her. Are you Union's friend? Yu Man braced himself. Yes. She had gone overboard. If she had known that the person who had a relationship with Gur was Master Du, she wouldn't have dared to pull Bei Yunj out. Then, before Huashidu could speak, Yu Man took the initiative to admit her mistake. I'm sorry, Master Du, I drank too much. I didn't know about Union's relationship with you. As soon as she finished speaking, Yu Man hurriedly picked up her high heels and ran out barefooted as if she didn't care about her life. Everyone. When this scene landed in the eyes of the others, the atmosphere became more and more oppressive. Fortunately, Huashidu only glanced at them. In the end, his gaze landed on Bei Yunj. There was a faint smile in his eyes. Yun, she's gone. Do you still want to continue playing? Bei Yunj immediately shook her head. Let's go home. She almost forgot that Huashidu and Yu Man knew each other, so he should also know Yu Man. On the way, Bei Yunj followed Huashidu very quietly. After all, the parent-teacher conference had just been held last week, and now she was caught at a bar. Bei Yunj looked up and saw that the man in front of her really did not intend to pay attention to her. She quickly walked forward. Brother. Yes. Shidu opened the car door and waited for Bei Yunj to get in before returning to the driver's seat. Although Bei Yunj saw that he looked relaxed, he did not say a word. Actually, I was helping Man win some money just now. Bei Yunj tapped her index finger on the armrest of the car door and explained calmly. Hearing this, Shidu finally turned around and glanced at her unhurriedly. He was refined and lazy. Is that so? Then why did I see someone trying to pass you a cigarette? Bei Yunj? ? When did this happen? Suddenly, the image of Shidu feeding her candy appeared in Bei Yunj's mind. At that time, the young man behind Shidu seemed to be holding a cigarette. She couldn't explain it anymore. After getting out of the car, it was already 9 o'clock when Shidu brought Bei Yunj home. As for Momo, who was still growing, she was asked to go to bed early. Suddenly, Bei Yunj stood in front of Shidu and looked up at him with a smile. Brother, I know I was wrong. Can't we make a deal? How can I not be angry? The little girl seemed to be used to this trick. As long as she pretended to be obedient, no one would bear to scold her. The man chuckled casually and raised his eyes. His appearance was light and seductive. He stretched out his hand lazily and gently pushed her forehead with his cold fingers. He said in a lazy and magnetic voice, Yes, brother will be unhappy whenever he sees Yun now. Bei Yunj? ? As Bei Yunj regained her senses, there was a commotion in the living room. When he turned on the lights, he found that Alice was really tearing down the house. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes moved, and she glanced at the man beside her calmly. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj held the rope and sat in the long corridor outside. The man and the dog were called Punishment. Bei Yunj couldn't help but stroke Alice's head and sigh. This man was really hard to coax. However, Bei Yunj had only been sitting for less than 5 minutes when a familiar voice sounded not far away. "Ayo, Miss Pei, what's going on? Why are you outside in the wind?" Yu Hanran asked deliberately. P.S. This article is the most sadistic punishment. I've finished updating today. From tomorrow onwards, I'll update at least 6 times and normally 8 times. I'll update once my monthly votes reach 150. Good night. Chapter 269. Bei Yunj glanced at him coldly. Then, Yu Hanran pretended to be surprised. Why? Don't tell me you didn't return home at night and cheated on Master Du? Bei Yunj sneered. If President Yu was so concerned about the company's market value wouldn't have fallen to second place. Yu Hanran was speechless. This little girl was really vicious. Then why did you go to Muse? Yu Hanran asked without hesitation. The next moment, Bei Yunj's eyes were cold. How did President Yu know that I went to Muse? Yu Hanran reacted abruptly and accidentally met Bei Yunj's eyes. At this moment, it was useless to explain. Well, Yu Hanran forced a smile on his face. What's the hurry? Won't you know when you go in? At this moment, Bei Yunj was not angry and smiled slowly. This situation inexplicably gave Yu Hanran a bad premonition. In the living room, the man stood by the French window. It was as if he was not looking at the beautiful plants outside, but at the girl sitting by the long corridor. Master Du, what's wrong with your girl? Is she standing at the door as punishment? Yu Hanran's tone was casual. He had just received Shidu's call and rushed over impatiently. He said again, Ayo, this method of education won't work. It won't work, so President Yu, take care of your sister. The man retracted his gaze and his tone inexplicably made Yu Hanran's back turn cold. Yu Hanran was speechless. What did he mean? Shidu was not a busybody. Even if Yu Manran was reckless, Shidu might not be able to say a word. After thinking for a moment, Yu Hanran's mind suddenly cleared. He thought of Bei Yunj's specious words and suddenly had a bad thought. He took a deep breath without batting an eyelid. Was it Man who brought your eldest daughter there? Shidu did not speak, but his gaze was enough to explain everything. Well, Master Du, Yu Hanran began to stutter. He didn't expect that he had reported his own sister. I heard that President Yu has a conscience. How could he come in when he saw the young lady standing outside? The man took out a cigarette from the cigarette box and put it between his thin lips casually. As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Hanran suddenly understood what Shidu meant. Was she blaming him for not bringing Bei Yunj in? Yu Han ran. Master Du called him over just to let him bring the little girl in? Did Bei Yunj and that Alaskan Malamute have been sitting outside for more than 10 minutes? Was he a tool? Master Du, are you feeling sorry for her? Yu Hanran put on a fake smile and suddenly regretted having such a childhood friend. Although I feel sorry for her, the little girl still needs to learn a lesson. The man held a cigarette between his fingers, his posture casual. Hearing this, Yu Hanran felt like he was going to die from anger. What kind of lesson was this? Bei Yunj going out for a few minutes was considered a lesson. Back then, the CEOs of the corporations who had been taught a lesson by the Hua Corporation all sat on the rooftop, okay? Wasn't Master Du doting on this little girl too much? Although he was jealous, Yu Hanran still called Bei Yunj in. Bei Yunj glanced at the man on the sofa. Brother. Hua Shidu put out the cigarette between his fingers and looked at her without averting his gaze. Since President Yu has spoken, you should go to bed first. Chapter 270. Yu Hanran was perplexed. Ha ha ha, your words are really interesting. Thank you, Brother President Yu. Bei Yunj's tone was so obedient that she didn't seem like the person who had insulted him outside just now. Yu Hanran was speechless. Neither of them was a good person. Good night, brother. Bei Yunj suddenly smiled at Hua Shidu and went upstairs with a lass. After Bei Yunj left, before Yu Hanran could react, the man beside him glanced at him. Why aren't you leaving? Yu Hanran was speechless. Listen, was this something a person should say? Did he really call him over in the middle of the night just to bring Bei Yunj into the house? The next day, Yu Manran called early in the morning to ask about her. Guha, are you okay? Yu Manran was a little nervous. She hadn't slept last night. She felt that she was a little weak in front of Master Du, but she really couldn't be strong. Thanks to you, I'm still alive, Bei Yunj said slowly. Yu Manran explained. Sob, I'm sorry, Gua. I was too afraid of Master Du. Don't ask me to go to a bar next time. Bei Yunj didn't care about this and comforted her casually before hanging up. Monday. Hongda High School. News had also spread in school that Qin Yojiao had taken a month's leave to go on a piano concert tour. F***CK, she's still in the mood to tour? She's too strong. What are you worried about? She still has the Cheng family behind her. It's not like you haven't seen how much Mrs. Cheng liked Qin Yojiao during the parent-teacher conference in year 3. But isn't this because she's the eldest young lady of the Qin family? Now, the Qin family has chased her out. How can that be? Bei Yunj only has a status, but in terms of talent and knowledge, Qin Yojiao has a lot to be proud of. I heard that the watch on Qin Yojiao's wrist was changed again. It's worth more than 5 million yuan. If she was chased out, would she still be in this state? That's true. I don't know what happened to the Qin family, but they suddenly caused such a commotion. If it were me, I'd rather keep Qin Yojiao. After all, Qin Yojiao is indeed outstanding and can make the family proud. Master Pei, what's going on? Qin Yojiao hasn't left yet? Chu Zhixing furrowed his eyebrows. From the beginning, when Bei Yunj came to Hongda, the rumors about Bei Yunj in the school had never been good. And in the entire school, other than Qin Yojiao, who else would deliberately find trouble with Bei Yunj? I don't know. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows, unscrewed the bottle cap, and drank it. She had never asked about the Qin family. However, the only reason Qin Yojiao could continue to maintain her elder young miss image was because of Mrs. Qin's help. What's wrong with the Qin family? You're the real daughter. Why do you care about that fake daughter? Chu Zhixing couldn't help but curse. However, when he came to his senses, he suddenly realized that Bei Yunj was also a member of the Qin family. He had also scolded Master Pei. Master Pei, Bei Yunj chuckled. You don't have to treat me as a member of the Qin family. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing froze. Only then did he understand why Bei Yunj had never explained her identity to anyone. She had never treated herself as a member of the Qin family, so why did she have to explain herself? After school. The moment Bei Yunj left the school, she saw Qin Luyen not far away. He was wearing a dark gray suit and looked extraordinarily handsome as his dark eyes glanced at her. Guha. Qin Luyen quickly strode towards her. What's wrong? I didn't wait for Guer to return to the old mansion, so I came to give you a present. Chapter 271. There's no need. Bei Yunji's eyes moved as she remembered the message Qin Luyan had sent her before. So he really bought it for her. You don't like it? Qin Luyan's eyes darkened. Or does Gu'er not like brother's gift? The gift is too expensive. Bei Yunji's eyes were clear, but her tone was faint and distant. Qin Luyan's hand that was holding the gift caressed the gift box slightly, the smile on his lips gentle. Gu'er, do you hate brother a lot? Bei Yunji did not understand why these people from the Qin family were so abnormal and started to treat her so well. Seeing that Bei Yunji did not speak for a long time, Qin Luyan's lips suddenly curled up and his low voice was filled with laughter. Then you don't hate me anymore. Bei Yunji was perplexed. Then accompany brother to visit grandpa? Qin Luyan's words caught what Bei Yunji was concerned about. Okay. Bei Yunji thought that she had not visited the old master yet and nodded. Seeing this, the smile on Qin Luyan's lips lifted imperceptibly. His gaze that swept over Bei Yunji was filled with gentleness. In the hospital. After the old master's surgery, his condition was slowly recovering. However, in the past 2 days, he had also heard Mrs. Qin crying and complaining about how Qin Luyan had chased Qin Youjiao away from the Qin family. Old Master Qin's eyelids twitched. Luyan, did you really chase Youjiao away from the Qin family? Qin Luyan peeled an apple slowly. She shouldn't have stayed. Old Master Qin did not know what to say for a moment. This grandson of his had the weakest sense of blood ties and seemed to do everything according to his mood. However, he did not expect Qin Luyan to be able to do something as disgraceful as sending his parents overseas just to get rid of Qin Youjiao. 2 days ago, your mother cried here for the entire afternoon. Those who don't know might think that I'm gone. The corners of old Master Qin's lips twitched. If Grandpa doesn't like it, I can still send her overseas, Qin Luyan said calmly. These words sounded as if they were discussing how the weather was today. No need, no need. Even old Master Qin was inexplicably afraid of his grandson. Back when he had chosen Qin Luyan as the heir, he could also see that Qin Luyan had the courage to govern the Qin clan. However, he did not expect Qin Luyan's current methods to be even more ruthless. He could not figure out Qin Luyan's thoughts at all. Aren't you afraid that your mother will hate you and kill herself? Old Master Qin sighed. That's her business. Qin Luyan's tone remained indifferent. After saying this, Bei Yunji had just finished changing the water in the vase and walked in. Gu'er, you don't have to be so concerned about this. Old Master Qin smiled. He turned around and saw that the apple in Qin Luyan's hand had been peeled. He instinctively reached out to take it. But he didn't expect that. Qin Luyan suddenly stood up and handed the peeled apple to Bei Yunji. Gu'er, try this apple first. Big brother will peel another one for Grandpa later. Old Master Qin was speechless. Bei Yunji nodded, took the apple and took a bite. It's quite sweet. It's delicious. Hearing this, Qin Luyan's lips curved and he sat back down, picking up another apple slowly. Grandpa, don't be anxious. There's more here. Old Master Qin put on a fake smile and forced himself to maintain his dignity. How am I anxious? That's good. Qin Luyan nodded. Chapter 272. Hearing this, Old Master Qin could not catch his breath and looked at Qin Luyan with a terrible expression. This brat was really too vicious. However, what surprised Old Master Qin even more was that Qin Luyan was doing this to protect Bei Yunji. A dark look flashed across his eyes and he could not help but heave a sigh of relief. That was good. If Lu Yan could protect Gu'er, at least Gu'er would not be bullied in the future. Then, halfway through peeling the apple, Qin Lang suddenly came to visit Old Master. Gu'er. Qin Lang's eyes lit up when he saw Bei Yunji. However, this also made Qin Luyan frown quietly. All right, Old Master. I'm going deaf from your shouting. Old Master Qin rolled his eyes. Gu'er, are you hungry? Do you want third brother to go downstairs and buy you something? After Qin Lang put down the fruit, he went to Bei Yunji's side. There's no need. Bei Yunji's eyelids twitched. At this moment, Qin Luyan watched Qin Lang stick to Bei Yunji as he slowly peeled the apple. It was only when Bei Yunji found an excuse to leave that Qin Luyan handed the apple to Old Master Qin and called out to Qin Lang. Qin Lang. What's wrong, brother? Gu'er chatted with me for a long time just now and didn't notice you were here. Qin Lang was overjoyed. At this moment, Qin Luyan said calmly, "Come out with me." When Qin Lang heard this, he thought that Qin Luyan was going to say something intimate to him and happily followed him out. Seeing this, old Master Qin could not help but wonder. How can there be such a silly person in my Qin family? Could anything good happen if he was called out by Qin Luyan? In the corridor, Qin Lang started to praise his relationship with Bei Yunj again. Qin Lang. Ha! Qin Lang was stunned. Qin Luyan smiled, his eyes refined and elegant. He reached out to help him tidy the creases on his clothes. "Stop pestering Gu'er, if you don't want to go to S country to dig coal." Qin Lang froze. On the same day, Bei Yunj also made an appointment with Marcus' niece, Jian Shi, to meet at the Computing Institute. At the entrance of the Computing Institute, Jian Shi was stopped without any preparation. Before Jian Shi could contact Bei Yunj, she suddenly saw a familiar figure. "Professor C. Look at me, look at me!" Jian Shi shouted as she jumped up. Si Chengyan heard a familiar voice and turned around to see Jian Shi standing at the door. "Why are you here?" Si Chengyan's eyelids twitched as he spoke to Jian Shi indifferently. The reason was that when this young lady first entered the school, she had confessed to Si Chengyan because she felt that Si Chengyan was capable and good-looking. Si Chengyan felt a headache coming on. Was this guy here to look for him again? They even went to the Computing Institute? "I'm here to look for my teacher." Upon hearing this, Si Chengyan thought to himself that she was indeed here to look for him. However, as he thought about it, he realized that something was wrong. "Who is your teacher?" Si Chengyan looked at her. "My teacher's surname is Pei. Do you know her?" Jian Shi asked with a smile. Hearing this, Si Chengyan's body trembled. In the entire Computing Institute, only that person with the surname Pei. Was Bei Yunj that capable? She directly took in the top student of Yun University's Computing Institute? Why did you suddenly find a teacher? Back then, Marcus had contacted Si Chengyan privately and revealed that Jian Shi was his niece, hoping that Si Chengyan would take care of her more. Chapter 273. Because the teachers in school are not very good, Jian Shi said without thinking. Meanwhile, Si Chengyan's mind was filled with this sentence. The teachers in school were not good. Jian Shi saw that Si Chengyan's expression had darkened and immediately explained, "You taught very well, but I know everything, so I want to find a more difficult teacher." It's quite difficult for her to teach. Si Chengyan chuckled indifferently. If it was not difficult, could those two interns from our nation's Computing Institute be trained like that? How is it? Is my teacher good? Jian Shi had never seen Bei Yunj before. She liked her crazily just because Bei Yunj had taught her a few lessons. However, what Jian Shi did not expect was that she could understand what Bei Yunj taught because she had taught Tich and Jasmine before. Si Chengyan gave a fake smile. "Great, great. Then Professor C. So go and find her yourself." After saying that, Si Chengyan left. Jian Shi. Just as Jian Shi was asking around for directions, Cheng Zihuai, who was following up on the project, saw Jian Shi. "Who is that person?" Cheng Zihuai asked. Hearing this, the boy beside her looked at Jian Shi and his eyes lit up. "It's our junior from Yun University, Jian Shi. She's the top student in the computing faculty. Moreover, she skipped a grade and was admitted." Cheng Zihuai's eyes flickered. He did not expect this girl, who looked younger than him, to be so capable. "Is she here for an internship too?" Cheng Zihuai asked. "I don't think so. She's heading to building number 3. She might be an intern or student brought by an official member." "What do you mean?" Cheng Zihuai frowned. Weren't the interns in the Computing Institute all taught by teachers? It means that an outstanding intern can follow the teacher who chose her in advance. At this point, the boy said mysteriously, "I heard that an incredible big boss came to building number 3. She's not even a member of our institute, but she has the treatment of an official member. Moreover, this person is being poached by the superintendent himself." When Cheng Zihuai heard this, for some reason, he suddenly remembered the person who had rejected him previously. She was also in Cloud City. A dark glint appeared in Cheng Zihuai's eyes. He clenched his fists and asked calmly, "Then do you know where this person was dug up from?" "I don't know. I heard the teachers mention the Computing Institute a few times. Maybe As soon as he finished speaking, Chung Zihuai's heart tightened as his gaze deepened. It was indeed her. At this moment, the boy was still muttering to himself. The big boss is indeed the big boss. 2 top computing institutes are fighting over him. If it were us, we would fight to the death for an intern position. I still have something to do. You can go to the lab first. With that, Chung Zihuai chased after Jian Shi. Jian Shi had just found the 3rd building and was about to enter when someone called out to her. Hello, Miss Jian. When Jian Shi heard this, she turned around impatiently. However, when she saw Chung Zihuai's face clearly, her heart could not help but race. She was really good-looking. Who are you? Jian Shi coughed lightly and raised her head proudly. I'm an intern here. Miss Jian, are you here to look for a teacher? Why don't I take you there? Chung Zihuai pretended not to know that Jian Shi was personally taught by a teacher. Chapter 274. Ah, teaching teacher? Other than me, my teacher only brought 2 interns. Jian Shi added silently. Besides, it's not what you know. Chung Zihuai was curious as to why Jian Shi could be chosen by an official member. After all, there were even doctorates among this group of interns. As a 3rd-year high school student, he already had the worst foundation among this batch of interns. Is that so? Chung Zihuai smiled gently, but he had other ideas in his heart. Then can I leave Miss Jian's cell phone number? Even if Jian Shi did not know the person from our nation's computing institute, she was still a student taught by an official member. As long as he had a good relationship with Jian Shi, he would definitely have a chance to meet that woman. Chung Zihuai's eyes darkened. When he saw that Jian Shi was about to take out her cell phone and save his number, his lips curled up unconsciously. But suddenly, someone called Jian Shi. Chung Zihuai happened to see the caller ID. Teacher, his body stiffened and his pupils constricted. It was her. At this moment, Jian Shi saw that Bai Yunj had called and her mood instantly improved. Jian Shi's eyes lit up. Teacher, I'm already downstairs. Bai Yunj leaned lazily against the railing and looked at Chung Zihuai, who was still planning to seduce her student. She looked at her watch, her bright eyes wild and playful. She seemed to be doing it on purpose. Yes, I thought teacher had fallen out of favor. Hearing this, Jian Shi felt like she was going to die. Ah, my teacher is the cutest in the world. Teacher, I'm coming, I'm coming. Jian Shi did not even look at Chung Zihuai as she ran into the building. He could not stop her. At the same time, Chung Zihuai's expression turned ugly. He looked at Jian Shi's figure running away and subconsciously looked upstairs. But at this moment, there was no one upstairs. Chung Zihuai's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. That woman would rather accept Jian Shi than him? Sooner or later, he would find that woman and make her change her mind. On the 5th floor, Bai Yunj received a call. Miss Pei? Do you still remember me? I'm Delaney. What's the matter? I have a student coming over. Bai Yunj's tone was still indifferent, but at this moment, Delaney was trying to please Bai Yunj. Yes, about our 1 billion. Just when Bai Yunj thought that he was going to bargain, she suddenly heard Delaney say gently, how about another 100 million? Bai Yunj. This was the first time she had seen someone complaining that they didn't bleed enough. Miss Pei, I was too unruly last time. Can this 100 million be considered as our reconciliation fee? Delaney said anxiously. There was a reason for Delaney's exhaustion. The results of Bai Yunj's research were almost out. He never thought that just when he thought that he had been taken advantage of, the other 2 rival companies would actually look for Marcus and be willing to double the price to buy the rights to use Bai Yunj's project. He hadn't even officially signed the contract yet, and someone was already trying to steal his project? There's no need for that. We'll take whatever we set. After Bai Yunj finished speaking, she saw a figure at the door and hung up. As for Delaney, who had been hung up on, his smile froze. Has your teacher always been like this? She doesn't even want to earn money? Delaney could not help but turn to look at Titch. Titch thought for a moment. Dad, have you ever thought that she might not care about this 100 million? Chapter 275. Delaney was silent for a moment before sitting beside Titch again. He patted his shoulder amiably. Learn from your teacher well. When necessary, put in a good word for your father. Titch trembled. This was the first time his father valued him so much. Back then, when he entered the computing institute, Delaney was still crazy about it. He arrogantly said that his son did not need to learn from those old-fashioned people. It was too embarrassing. Now, he was asking his son to get in through the back door. Titch swallowed his saliva. This is quite difficult. Every time during class, he could feel the teacher's mood turn from sunny to gloomy. He and Jasmine were afraid of being scolded. Fortunately, Bei Yunj did not seem to have the habit of scolding people. Difficult? Aren't you the top student in school? Delaney was very unhappy. Suddenly, an excellent idea flashed through his mind. He reached out and touched Titch's head. He was so gentle that it was scary. Son, we men can sacrifice our looks when necessary. Do you understand? If others heard that the young master of the Delaney group had to sacrifice his looks to fight for an opportunity for the group, he would probably be in the headlines for half a month. Titch was so frightened that he almost jumped up. He was so angry that he laughed. Dad, if you don't want to be hunted down by my teacher, please be normal. Jasmine is the best-looking person in our circle. I've never seen him have such thoughts. Jasmine's mother was the most famous movie queen in our nation, and his father was the founder of the first group in the fashion industry. In the industry, he was sought after by countless people. However, in front of his teacher, they were just students who were a little difficult to teach. Delaney was speechless. This brat only had this bit of ambition. Forget it. Learn from your teacher. Just don't make her angry. Delaney rolled her eyes and left angrily. Titch was speechless. At the computing institute. You're here. After Bei Yunj hung up the phone, his gaze landed on Jian Shi. Jian Shi looked at Bei Yunj in front of her and froze when she heard this familiar voice. This was her teacher. Wasn't she too young? When she first heard Bei Yunj's voice, she felt that her teacher should be very young, but she did not expect her to be so young. Teacher. Yes. Bei Yunj's red lips curved into a smile as she looked at the person who liked to act coquettishly on the internet. What's the matter? Jian Shi looked at Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes, especially those eyes that were smiling at her. For some reason, her heart beat faster. Wasn't he too good-looking? Why didn't Marcus say that her teacher was so good-looking? No, nothing. Teacher, can I come here to teach next time? Jian Shi stared straight at Bei Yunj with a fiery gaze. Anything is fine. It depends on your schedule. Bei Yunj sat at the table and asked slowly, Who did you see downstairs just now? Jian Shi was stunned for a moment before she quickly reacted. Bei Yunj must have seen her greeting Cheng Zihuai. I don't know him, but he's quite good-looking. Well, don't bother with people you don't know. Bei Yunj patted the chair next to her and gestured for her to sit down. All right. Jian Shi suppressed her excitement and threw her palpitations towards Cheng Zihuai to the back of her mind. Teacher, have you graduated? Jian Shi could not help but ask. Not yet. Chapter 276. Jian Shi continued to ask, Which school is it? Hengda. Bei Yunj answered as he did his work. Hearing this, Jian Shi regretted it. Why did she skip grades back then? Otherwise, she would not have been classmates with the teacher. Wait, Hengda? Jian Shi's smile froze. Some time ago, didn't the school leaders ask her to go to Hengda to help give a speech and teach the third-year students their college entrance examination experience and cheer them on? What's wrong? Bei Yunj turned to look at Jian Shi. Jian Shi shook her head frantically and forced a smile. Nothing. No, she could not go. If she went on stage to give a speech and saw Bei Yunj, she would probably be so nervous that she could not speak. As Bei Yunj still had something to talk to Zhong Shanglin about, Bei Yunj asked Jian Shi to go back first. However, Jian Shi did not expect to see Cheng Zihuai waiting not far away when she went downstairs. Seeing this, she frowned without batting an eyelid. When she first saw Cheng Zihuai, she did not notice that this person seemed to be approaching her with a motive. However, when she thought of what Bei Yunj had said to her, Jian Shi suddenly calmed down. This person was definitely not a good person. Miss Jian. Cheng Zihuai saw that Jian Shi pretended not to see him and walked out. He could not help but frown and call out to her. What's the matter? Jian Shi was a little impatient and her gaze was arrogant. It was Cheng Zihuai's first time hitting on a girl. He could not help but feel embarrassed. However, a moment later, he clenched his fists and revealed a charming smile. Senior Jen is at Yun University? Then we should meet in a year's time. If you have something to say, you can tell me directly. I still have to go home. She glanced at her watch with an indifferent attitude. This made Cheng Zihuai feel strange. The way she looked at him just now clearly had a good impression of him. Then I'll send you off. It's not safe for a girl to be alone. Cheng Zihuai acted very gentlemanly. If it was before, she might have been tempted. But now, she was only on guard. There's no need. My teacher said not to interact with strangers. She smiled at Cheng Zihuai and left. This reaction caused Cheng Zihuai's face to darken. I say, brother, aren't you too awesome? Instead of working hard in the computing institute, you're flirting with the beloved disciple of a big boss? The boy who usually spoke to Cheng Zihuai laughed. How do you know her identity? Cheng Zihuai frowned. Did you see that thing in her hand? This is our identity pass. Hers is a deck of cards. Normally, official members would reserve 1 or 2 slots for their students. If nothing goes wrong, she will be able to get it as soon as she arrives today. This means that her teacher dotes on her. Listen to Yen. Cheng Zihuai felt even more upset as he stared at Xi's back. The things that he couldn't get were easily obtained by someone else. Listen to me, don't think too much about it. She has been a proud daughter of heaven since she was young. For half a month. Qin Youjiao, who did not appear in Hengda, was on the headlines every day. Because of the piano concert tour, not only did she receive praise from well-known pianists in the industry, but the scene of Mrs. Qin and Mrs. Chang presenting flowers on stage was also enviable. Back then, they thought that Qin Youjiao would be in dire straits after being chased out. Who knew that there would be such a scene? Chapter 277. Qin Youjiao was indeed a princess to be able to make her mother-in-law and her mother, who was not related to her by blood, go on stage to give flowers and hug her. So, not long after, Qin Youjiao started to attract a large number of fans again. Many marketing accounts praised her for her beauty and kindness. However, within a few days, Mrs. Qin was almost angered to death by her eldest son. Because Qin Luyan had warned her last time, she did not care. In the end, the next day, Qin Luyan actually banned her card. He even asked his secretary to tell her that if she wanted to buy anything in the future, she had to use a receipt to reimburse herself. She was already so old, but she was still being pranked by her son like this. Class 7. Master Pei, come on. A life that doesn't play games is incomplete. Don't worry, Brother Lu will take you flying. Before Bei Yunj could react, Lu Yuanxi snatched her phone and wanted to install the game for her. I don't like this kind of thing. Bei Yunj furrowed her eyebrows unconsciously and resisted. Are you afraid of losing, Master Pei? To think that you would have such a day? Lu Yuanxi seemed to have discovered something incredible and even said loudly on purpose. As a result, Chu Zhixing, who was behind him, looked at him with an exceptionally benevolent and pitiful gaze. Bei Yunj was speechless. Soon after Lu Yuanxi installed the phone app for her, he could not help but complain, why is your phone interface cleaner than mine? There was no girl's pink and tender interface. She was going to be kicked out of the ranks of girls. You have a lot of things to do. Bei Yunj smiled at him. Lu Yuanxi registered an account for Bei Yunj. I hope you won't admire me too much after you finish playing the game. Bei Yunj looked up and glanced at her iPad. In the end, she took the phone. Within moments. When the team battle started, Bei Yunj was like a Buddha praying. She did not take advantage of the situation or kill anyone. She just watched Lu Yuanxi operate. However, Lu Yuanxi could not bring her along, probably because his opponent was not very good. Especially when he glanced back and saw Bei Yunj's character not moving at all, the corners of his lips could not help but twitch. Master Pei, move. This is a competitive game. Don't be afraid of killing, okay? Hearing this, the other boys couldn't help but laugh. Bei Yunj had just split the screen and roughly looked at the settings of the game. When she heard Lu Yuanxi's words, she quickly returned to the game. Okay. Really? Lu Yuanxi was very suspicious of this newbie. Even this game was created with his help. But in the next moment, when Lu Yuanxi's gaze returned to the game, he suddenly realized that there was one less opponent. Soon, the news of Bei Yunj's first blood appeared on the public chat. Lu Yuanxi was confused. What the hell? The player who had just been killed by Bei Yunj had the best positioning among all of them. He hadn't looked at the interface for a few seconds. Bei Yunj, today you. Her luck was not bad. Before Lu Yuanxi could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj taking the heads of the players one by one. The scene was like a one-sided slaughter field for her. The game ended in less than 10 minutes. He, on the other hand, took on the role of Bei Yunj's chanting Buddha in the early stages of the game and watched her torture and kill. In the end, Bei Yunj put down her phone and said leisurely, "Brother Lu, it's nothing." Lu Yuanxi was speechless. "Brother Lu, what's the matter? How's Master Pei's operation?" A boy next to him came over with a cheeky smile, thinking that Lu Yuanxi did not manage to drive Bei Yunj. P.S. Good boys, remember to vote. Every 150 monthly votes, I will add an update. There will be an update later. Chapter 278. Lu Yuanxi's lips moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. It wasn't until the rankings lit up on the screen that the boys at the back froze when they saw it clearly. Was there something wrong with their eyes? What was going on with the first place, PYG? Wasn't this result too heaven-defying? Did the other team members eat vegetarian and pray to Buddha? Why were their hands so clean? Brother Lu, are you in second place? The boy at the back asked in a trembling voice. At least Lu Yuanxi had a head. The last few people really seemed to be here to redeem all living beings. Lu Yuanxi was a little speechless. However, at this moment, Bei Yunj glanced at Lu Yuanxi. That glance was particularly meaningful. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Master Pei is awesome. The boy at the back couldn't help but shout excitedly. Who is Master Pei? During the afternoon self-study, the physics teacher happened to come to the class to ask who was willing to participate in the physics competition. In the end, he tried his best to persuade them for a long time, but no one paid attention to him. At this moment, the classroom was still very quiet. You're already a master. At least stand up and let me recognize you. How about that? The physics teacher teased. Bei Yunj was speechless. In the end, under the gaze of the physics teacher, Bei Yunj slowly stood up. Teacher Zhao. The moment Bei Yunj stood up, the physics teacher's eyes lit up. Then it's you. You're indeed my class representative. Your courage is commendable. Bei Yunj was speechless. She didn't hear what the physics teacher said on stage just now, but for some reason, she had a bad premonition. Bei Yunj looked back at Chu Zhixing and hinted with her eyes for Chu Zhixing to remind her of what the physics teacher wanted to do. At this moment, Chu Zhixing stood up. Teacher Zhao, why don't I participate? The physics competition. Student Pei probably doesn't like it. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly, Ling Jiwei laughed and said in a strange tone, "That's right, Teacher Zhao. Don't you know the results of Bei Yunj's participation in the competition? There's no need for Student Pei to embarrass herself, right?" Ling Jiwei, can you speak properly? Lu Yuanxi's eyes turned cold. Hearing Lu Yuanxi openly defend Bei Yunj, Ling Jiwei's heart became even more twisted. Am I not telling the truth? I'm just thinking for her sake. I don't want her to be embarrassed. She couldn't help but sneer and look at Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, do you dare to participate in this competition? Although Ling Jiwei's words were sarcastic, everyone knew that her words were crude but not crude. Bei Yunj's score. If he went out to compete, he would only be treated as a joke. In the past, no one in their class had participated in the competition because they didn't want to be laughed at. I think Ling Jiwei is right. If Bei Yunj participates in the competition, our class 7 will lose all face. A bespectacled boy couldn't help but whisper in agreement. The group of people behind them didn't study hard. In the entire class 7, there were only 1 or 2 people who could be brought to the table. Teacher, I also don't agree with Bei Yunj's participation in the competition. She's so popular. What if she loses the competition and leads our class to the headlines? I can't afford to lose face like that. Another girl raised her hand and said angrily. Everyone knew in their hearts that they wouldn't just lose. They were clearly going to hit a new low in history. That's right. If she goes, I'll change classes. Someone glanced at Bei Yunj in disgust and said arrogantly. P.S. Be good. Every 150 votes. I'll add 1 more chapter. There's no limit to the number of chapters. All 10 chapters were completed yesterday. Old Sue went to update his old books. Chapter 279. Suddenly, the physics teacher slammed the table and glanced at everyone coldly. If she doesn't go, who is willing to go? As soon as he finished speaking, the people who were arrogant just now were suddenly speechless. Who would want to embarrass themselves like this? They rarely saw the physics teacher so serious and indifferent. There are 2 places in each class for this competition. If you don't agree, stand up and compete. What right do you have to ask others to satisfy your selfish desires? As long as you're willing to climb up the ladder, do you think the doubts on the way are important? Hearing this, the people in the class were even more speechless. Zhao Yi was the teacher with the most experience in teaching. He was meticulous and was not like the other teachers who were full of resistance when they took over the 7th class. After all, whoever took over the 7th class would be paid a fixed salary. They would not be able to get any bonuses or anything like that, unless there was a provincial top scorer. Teacher, I don't agree with Bei Yunj going. Suddenly, a boy wearing glasses stood up. His eyes were a little gloomy. He still remembered clearly how Bei Yunj threw his tie at him in front of so many people and embarrassed him. This time, he wanted Bei Yunj to have a taste of humiliation. At this moment, hearing the boy's voice, many people looked at him mockingly. There's going to be a good show. The 2nd place in our class for physics. I remember that Wang Meng got 131 points in physics this time, right? Yeah, other than Chu Zhixing who got 148 points, the rest of the class is in a slump. Because the 3rd place only had 107 points. Lu Yuanci leaned over and said, Deskmate, although this is a little embarrassing, you don't want to compete either. Why don't you? Before Lu Yuanci could finish, Bei Yunj lazily loosened her tie and looked at him playfully. Sure. In an instant, Lu Yuanci froze. Chu Zhixing, who was behind him, also looked at Bei Yunj in surprise. The next moment, the class was in an uproar. F***CK. F***CK. What's going on? Is Bei Yunj crazy? She doesn't know her place. Her physics score is just a fraction of Wang Meng's. Tisk, it's all because the guys behind Bei Yunj think she's pretty and keep praising her. You really think of yourself as Master Pei. Hearing these words, Lu Yuanci's gaze turned cold, and he stared at the people who were talking. Ling Jiwei seized the opportunity and deliberately made things difficult for her. Bei Yunj, you're taking up everyone's lunch break. If you don't get this spot, shouldn't you apologize to everyone? Then if I get this slot, shouldn't everyone apologize to me? Bei Yunj said calmly, as if she didn't feel any pressure at all. However, these words enraged the crowd. Is she still asleep? Let's see if we can get this spot. Do you want us to apologize to her? Suddenly, Ling Jiwei raised her chin and said arrogantly, If you get it, I'll apologize to you on behalf of the whole class. How about that? Sure. Bei Yunj played with the pen in her hand. When she looked up, she was calm and composed. If that's the case, then it's settled. It's just that an apology is too simple and not memorable enough. Ling Jiwei's eyes darkened. She took out a marker pen and wrote a few words. Then, she turned around and showed Bei Yunj. 10 laps around the track. Shout as you run. Everyone within 10 meters can hear you. How about that? Chapter 280. Then, everyone looked at the words on the notebook. There were only 4 words on it. I'm an idiot. Damn, that's a little harsh, but I like it, someone joked. Aya, how can Bei Yunj have the guts to agree to Ling Jiwei's request? She might as well apologize. I've long disliked her. She used to be a disgrace in school, but now she's disgraced outside of school. I wonder who gave her the face. It's good that we can watch the show. It has nothing to do with me anyway. At this moment, Ling Jiwei urged, Bei Yunj, don't tell me you don't dare to do it. Before the physics teacher could see clearly and stop this from happening, Bei Yunj thought for a moment and said slowly, What if someone says that I'm bullying you in school? Everyone burst out laughing. Is this person delusional? She was already fantasizing that she could win? We'll talk about it if you can win. Ling Jiwei couldn't help but sneer and say sharply, If you can win, I'll say anything. Anyway, everyone is willing to do it. All right then. Bei Yunj chuckled, her eyes bright and flamboyant. Lu Yuanxi, who was beside her, elbowed Bei Yunj's arm. What's going on? Wang Meng is a beast. He attends science classes every day. Wasn't she just looking for trouble by competing with Wang Meng? Bei Yunj said calmly. Don't worry. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Don't worry, my ass. Suddenly, Lu Yuanxi interrupted. The young man's low and smooth voice had a unique magnetism. He said in a deep voice, if Bei Yunj loses, I'll take the punishment for her. Hearing this, everyone froze. They didn't expect Lu Yuanxi to be so concerned about this. Lu Yuanxi, she'll definitely lose. Why are you helping her? Ling Jiwei couldn't accept it and said harshly. Everyone knew that she liked Lu Yuanxi. But even if Lu Yuanxi knew that Bei Yunj would lose, he was still willing to jump into the pit. I can't bear to see my deskmate being bullied. Lu Yuanxi said slowly. No. You can't replace him. Ling Jiwei broke down emotionally. How could she let Lu Yuanxi do such a disgraceful thing? Lu Yuanxi sneered. Then why can you replace Wang Meng? As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere froze. What he said made sense. Suddenly the person next to Lu Yuanxi poked him and said slowly, I can win. Bei Yunj was also surprised that Lu Yuanxi would say that. You think you can win? Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but curse. Bei Yunj. Forget it, this doesn't make sense. Brother Lu, Master Pei can really win. Before Chu Zhixing could compliment him, he felt Lu Yuanxi's cold gaze. It was this fatty Chu who was always bootlicking, causing his deskmate to really think that he could ascend to heaven. Teacher, give me the question. As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, she was interrupted by Ling Jiwei. Teacher, I remember that you have a physics question bank. Why don't I choose the question? That would be fairer. This was to prevent teacher Zhao Yi from liking Bei Yunj too much and directly leaking the question to Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, have you thought it through? Teacher Zhao Yi looked at Bei Yunj with a complicated expression. Last time, he had checked Bei Yunj's test paper. Many of the questions that she got right were questions that no one in the grade could get right. If it was just a guess, she was too lucky. Therefore, teacher Zhao Yi wanted to see if she could participate in the physics competition. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.